The old man is finally gone, having lived so long for nothing. Now he can collect his life insurance, right? I can finally be compensated for the misfortune of marrying you. Show me how much you're getting. I have no interest in joining your pathetic hick funeral. The words my husband spoke were not condolences, but outright insults directed at my father and me. To make matters worse, he tossed coins from his pocket at me, calling it his contribution to the gift of assistance. The once kind man who had given me that lucky dime and encouragement is nowhere to be seen. How did it all come to this? My vision was blurred by tears of rage and misery. Suddenly, a man appeared before me, playing a crucial role in what would come next. I was 35, working at a confectionery plant. My ex-husband and I had met at a previous job. At that time, I was a fresh graduate, clueless about my work. I made countless mistakes while everyone else seemed to get it right. I thought they were just minor flaws at first, but my struggle to learn new tasks persisted. The company fostered a cutthroat environment, so I was completely lost. When I made mistakes, my colleagues were burdened, and I carried the weight of their frustration. One day, it became too overwhelming, and I ended up crying in a small kitchen corner at work. My ex-husband, who happened to find me there, asked, "What's wrong? Do you want to talk?" I thanked him through my tears and confessed that I had made another mistake. He was 2 years older and had been with the company longer. He listened to my woes and managed to make me smile. I thought to myself, what a nice guy, and felt a bit better in his presence. He then remembered something and pulled out his wallet. Taking out a coin, he said, "This is a lucky silver dime from 1944. I hope it brings you good luck." I vowed to always keep that dime with me, no matter what. I soon found myself falling for him and asked a colleague to help me get closer to him. We started dating, fell in love, and eventually got married. I was ecstatic about the life we were building together. But there was one person who didn't agree with me, my father. He had devoted his life to the family farm, and although he was a man of few words and had rarely spoken to me growing up, he had a clear objection to my marriage. "I think you're rushing into this," he said. "I don't trust him. He might seem like a nice guy, but I believe there's someone else hiding behind that facade. You should wait and get to know him better." I retorted, "How do you know he's not good for me after meeting him just once? Besides, you've never given me any fatherly advice before. Now, all of a sudden, you're acting like a concerned father and lecturing me. I'm an adult. I don't need your permission." Hearing his objections for the first time, I felt hurt and unfairly blamed him. He never mentioned it again, and I ignored his warning, got married, and left home. We hadn't spoken since then. I told myself everything was fine. I had my husband and was happy with my marriage. I pretended there was nothing wrong in my life, but the reality was far from what I had imagined. Shortly after we married, my ex began to act arrogantly toward me. "Hey, where's my dinner?" he would demand. "Didn't I tell you to clean the house? I'm embarrassed living in this mess. I want to wear this tomorrow, so iron it and don't forget to polish my shoes." Despite his mistreatment, I tried my best to balance work and home life. I perfected housework to avoid criticism, but he took it for granted and never showed appreciation. "Good job, huh?" he would say sarcastically. "Of course, you should be able to do all of this as a wife. Are you seriously asking for a compliment? If you think this is praiseworthy, you should be on your knees thanking me for my job." And now, with his promotion to manager, he used his position to demean me even more. "All your work proposals are lame and boring. It's clear you were born and raised in the backcountry. Your existence reeks of mud," he sneered. He didn't just degrade me, he also disrespected my family. I was growing increasingly fed up with him. He even mocked my hobby of sketching new dessert ideas, which I was passionate about. I spent a lot of time on it, but he dismissed my sketches as terrible designs and said I was wasting my time. His disdain escalated to criticizing my family and the products they sent us. "Send me T-bone instead," he sneered. "It's a shame your family is too poor to send anything of value." His venomous remarks were revolting. It was infuriating that he couldn't appreciate the kindness of others. I should have confronted him, but I disliked confrontation and couldn't stand up for myself. I was also terrified of being left without a place to go if he kicked me out. The fear of being lost kept me from arguing with him. He knew he had control over me, so his behavior worsened. One day, I cooked a white stew using milk from my family. As I anticipated, he viciously criticized it, saying, "Ew, it smells rancid and reeks of poverty." I can't eat poor people's food. I was prepared for his harsh comments and planned to shrug them off. But this time, he crossed a line. Before this stew stinks up the whole house with the odor of poverty, I'm throwing it out. I feel like I'm in jail being served such food. Seriously, you're the worst wife. He dumped the pot of stew into the trash. I finally lost my temper. How could you throw away the food I took time to make? You're disgusting for wasting perfectly good food like that. Instead of apologizing, he snapped back, blah blah blah. You're so dull, useless, and annoying. Who do you think you're talking to? I'm better than you. You're just a burden. I don't need you anymore. Then he revealed why he married me. I thought at 35, you'd have savings. You seemed out of the dating loop for so long. I just wanted your money and to use you like a robot. You wanted me anyway, so it was a win-win, right? His cruel revelation hit me hard. He had only married me to exploit my finances. We delayed the marriage to make you save more money. It was all part of my plan. My savings are almost gone because you've been splurging, but you never mentioned that your savings are almost gone. How's that my fault? It's your job to manage the finances, so you take responsibility. A penniless wife is worthless to me, lower than my farm animals. With a vile sneer, he suddenly grabbed my sketches from the shelf and tore them to pieces. Pathetic, he shouted, tossing the scraps aside before storming out of the room. What have I ever done to you? I cried out in despair. I've only tried to do my best to make our lives better. That night, I couldn't sleep. I cried my eyes out. The next day, as he coldly told me, "Get out," without even looking up from his newspaper, I realized we were getting a divorce. Okay, I said, resigning myself. I had been thinking the same thing last night, so I quietly packed my things and left the house. As I stepped outside, my father's face appeared in my mind. He had always doubted this marriage. Why hadn't I listened to his words? Tears welled up in my eyes as I wondered what he would have said if I told him about the divorce. Would he have been angry with me for not heeding his advice? Would he have been disappointed or refused to speak to me? Unable to answer these questions, I started living alone, too afraid to confront him. I found a small apartment with my meager savings, but my ex spread harmful rumors about me, making my new life difficult. I was mentally exhausted. While scanning job ads online, I found a listing for a position at a bakery manufacturer, a job I had once dreamed of. Though I felt too old to change careers, I decided to give it a try. Working at the bakery manufacturer and learning new skills restored my confidence. Once I regained my sense of self, I decided it was time to do something I had been putting off. Visit my father and tell him about my divorce and new career. That night, however, I received a call from my mother, who was sobbing. Your dad passed away in a hospital today. Please come home. The memorial service is the day after tomorrow. The news hit me like a hammer, and my mind went blank. I packed my things in a daze and drove as fast as I could to the ranch. When I arrived, I saw him lying peacefully in a casket. It was too late. I was too late. As I looked at my father's shriveled corpse, the reality of my regrets crashed down on me. I hadn't come clean about my divorce or apologized to him. Why did you leave so soon, Dad? I whispered through my tears. I was going to tell you everything. I'm sorry for not coming sooner. I wept into my pillow all night, unable to sleep. 2 days later, his memorial service took place at the ranch. I was so devastated that I felt like a zombie. Then, unexpectedly, my ex appeared before me, having learned of my father's passing through a mutual friend. I had hoped he would show some respect at the service, but my expectations were quickly shattered. So when are you getting your inheritance? He demanded. Since I took care of you, you need to pay me back for that. He continued, I've been waiting for the country bumpkin to die anyway. This hillbilly memorial is so plain, isn't it? Don't tell me you don't have money. Just sell this useless stuff to get more. This is your chance to prove that marrying you was worth it, even on such a solemn occasion. My ex's behavior was despicable, dishonoring both my father and me. Leave now. There's no place for a slime ball like you here, I said, outraged. But he didn't care and persisted. Pay me, then I'll leave. I don't even want to be in this crappy town. You always complicate things, which is why I divorced you. His cruelty was unbearable. As he continued to press for money and belittle the situation, I felt a deep, angry sadness. He sneered at me, blaming me for our divorce, even though we were at the far corner of the room, away from the others. People were beginning to notice the commotion. Without warning, he put on a scornful smile, as if struck by a brilliant idea, and reached into his pocket. "Here's my contribution to your gift of assistance," he said, his voice dripping with mockery. He then threw coins at me with a flourish, the clinking sound echoing through the room. His dreadful smile never wavered as he picked up a dime from the floor, holding it up as though it were a trophy. I knew exactly what he meant. Where had the kind man who had once given me that lucky silver dime gone? Tears flowed uncontrollably from my despair. Just then, a man in a luxurious suit approached me. "I apologize for my delay. My deepest condolences. I'm very sorry about your father," he said sincerely. My ex looked surprised and shoved me aside. He quickly plastered a broad smile on his face and extended his hand to the man. It turned out the man was an important contact for a big project my ex had been working on. As my ex chatted away, the man glanced at me over his shoulder, his expression a mix of sympathy and curiosity. My ex saw the interaction and began to shame me. "She's my useless ex-wife," he declared, his voice dripping with contempt. "She thinks crying will fix everything. She sits up high on her throne, never intending to improve herself. I'm embarrassed that I was even giving her a lecture." He laughed dismissively, clearly believing he looked authoritative, but the man remained stoic and calm. "I'm retracting the contract with your company." "What?" The color drained from my ex's face. "She's a key person in the project," the man continued, "and I would never associate with a company that humiliates one of my excellent employees in public. If this dull woman is your excellent employee, there must be some mistake." Ignoring my ex, who was now frantic, the man immediately called his boss and announced the contract's cancellation. My ex's phone rang immediately afterward, his voice trembling as he apologized repeatedly. My father's ranch may have been small scale, but its products were known for their exceptional quality, even praised by renowned pastry chefs. By sheer coincidence, I started working at my current job, where my boss was a fan of my father's milk and butter. My refined palate, honed by top-quality ingredients, was valued in my new role. My dad had never disclosed the specifics of his products to my ex, and I had never boasted about my family's business, so my ex never knew the truth. Looking back, I wondered if my dad had been testing my ex's character. After finishing his call, my ex turned to me, his face ashen. He realized his career might be in jeopardy without this project. His demeanor suddenly shifted as he pleaded, "Please talk to him and make him change his mind. I did mean to harm you. Please forgive me. I'm sorry, only because I need to save my career." Reaching my boiling point, I let out all my frustration. "You self-centered bastard. Do you think crying will make things better?" Right back at you. "One of the sketches you tore apart that day was the origin of this project. Now you want to sell my Lane Creek made with my dad's milk, which you once said stunk of poverty." The project my ex was working on involved crepes that I had created and supervised, using cream made from my dad's fresh milk. When he learned the details, he snapped. "Why didn't you tell me?" Kicking over chairs in frustration, he was met with a man's calm response. The man stoically picked up the chairs and placed them back. "You may not realize it, but many industry professionals are here. There's no point in resisting anymore. Your misconduct will spread quickly. You have no place here." My ex collapsed onto the floor, desperation etched into his face as he clung to me. "Please help me," he begged. "I'm going to lose everything. I'm so sorry for what I've done. Please just help me." He clung to me, miserable and pleading. I decided to respond with a sweetness that masked my true feelings. As he looked up at me with hopeful eyes, thinking he was saved, I took the lucky silver coin he had given me when we first met out of my purse. I lowered it to his eye level and then deliberately dropped it onto the floor. "You make your own luck," I said coldly. "Hope you understand that someday." He was stunned, frozen in place like a statue. Ironically, the tables had turned, and he began to whimper. "Be quiet," I snapped. "Stop disrupting the memorial. Aren't you ashamed of yourself? You're the lamest person here. Good riddance to bad luck." With nothing left to say or do, he fled the house, tail between his legs. A week after my father's funeral, news broke that my ex, who had been responsible for the project's failure, faced severe repercussions. He was reprimanded by his superiors, and when it was discovered he had embezzled the project budget, was fired and criminally charged. He was left exhausted and broken, his bad deeds catching up with him. He ended up living in a shabby apartment, alone. Meanwhile, my dad's friends and staff, who had inherited his commitment to quality, continued to uphold his legacy. They were expanding their business and maintaining the high standards he had set. The man who had canceled the project contacted me and shared that he had known my dad for many years. He recounted a conversation he'd had with my father after I was hired at his company. "Your daughter is putting a lot of effort into her work, even amidst her divorce," he said. "I want to support her as much as I can." Though he was aware of my divorce, he seemed relieved. "It's heartbreaking to know she was mistreated and that your family was disrespected. Knowing her, I worry that she pushed herself too hard. I'm ashamed I didn't reach out when she was suffering. I hope to see her thrive in her own happiness from now on. Please take care of her." Listening to these words, I couldn't stop crying. Discovering my father's true thoughts and how he cared for me filled me with overwhelming gratitude. Despite the struggles, I now felt hopeful about my future. "I'm sorry, Dad, for not being by your side in your last moments," I said to the sky. "There have been many struggles, but I'm better now. I'm living a full life, learning to be a patissier. I'm going to use all the products you cherished for so many years. Please watch over me from heaven. I love you so much." With my heart full of gratitude, I promised to keep working hard to become the patissier he believed I could be.
The first time I collapsed in front of my mother, she stepped over my body to answer a phone call about her book club. I was 16 then. 12 years later, as I lay curled on our kitchen floor with pain ripping through my abdomen, nothing had changed. My name is Maria, and I've spent most of my life being told I'm just dramatic. "Mum, please," I whispered, clutching my stomach. "I need help. The specialist said what you wanted to hear," Mum cut in, not looking up from her phone. "How convenient that the only doctor who believes you is the one charging $20,000 for surgery." The morning light streaming through our kitchen windows felt too harsh, too exposing. I pulled myself up using the counter, fighting waves of nausea. "The payment plan? I just need a co-signer. I have savings for the down payment." "Here we go again," Skylar announced, breezing into the kitchen in her yoga outfit. "Another medical drama from Maria. What is it this time? More mysterious pain that no regular doctor can diagnose?" I gripped the counter harder. "It's endometriosis. They found nothing," Skylar snapped, pouring her green smoothie. "Just like always. You know what I think? I think you're jealous that I'm getting married next spring, and this is your way of making everything about you." Again, Mum nodded sagely, as if Skylar had unveiled some profound truth. "Honey, we've been through this since you were a teenager. Every time something good happens to someone else, you end up in the ER. That's not..." The pain surged again, and I doubled over. "I have medical records, test results," "which mysteriously never show anything concrete," Skylar interjected. "Just like when you claimed you had chronic fatigue during my college graduation, or when you couldn't attend Mum's retirement party because of your migraine." "I brought the paperwork," I gasped, fumbling with my bag. "The loan documents, everything's ready, I just need..." Mum finally looked up, her face a mask of practiced concern. "Maria, sweetie, do you know what co-signing would mean? We'd be responsible if you defaulted. And let's be honest, you can barely hold down a job with all your episodes." "I haven't missed a day of work in 8 months, I protested. "I've saved $12,000. I just need help with..." "Enough!" Skylar slammed her glass down. "You want Mum to risk her retirement fund on your vanity surgery? Because you're too weak to handle normal female problems that the rest of us deal with just fine?" The room spun. Not from pain this time, but from the realization that was finally, irreversibly settling in. They were never going to believe me, never going to help me. "I'm your daughter," I whispered to Mom. "Your baby sister," I turned to Skylar. "How can you..." "Oh, stop with the guilt trips," Skylar rolled her eyes. "You're 28, Maria. Isn't it time you grew up and stopped playing victim?" Mom stood up, gathering her things. "I have bridge club in 30 minutes. Maria, we love you, but this attention-seeking behaviour needs to stop. Have you considered therapy? I can recommend someone who specialises in personality disorders." I stared at them both. These women who shared my blood, who had watched me suffer for years and decided I was lying. Something cold and hard crystallised in my chest. "You're right," I said quietly, straightening up despite the pain. "I need to grow up, to stop expecting help from people who don't want to give it." "Now you're being dramatic again," Skylar sighed. Just go home, take some Advil, and get over yourself. I walked out of that kitchen on legs that barely held me, made it to my car before the tears started. As I fumbled with my keys, another wave of pain hit, the worst one yet. I slid down against my car door, ending up on the concrete of our driveway. Through the kitchen window, I could see them continuing their mourning, as if I'd never been there. Mum was laughing at something on her phone. Skylar was taking a selfie with her smoothie. I won't forget this, I whispered to myself, to them, to whatever force in the universe was witnessing this moment. I won't forget, and someday neither will you. I didn't know it then, but that morning was the last time I'd ever asked them for help, the last time I'd let myself be small in their presence. As I finally managed to start my car and drive away, I felt something shift inside me, something that had nothing to do with physical pain. They wanted me to get over myself? Fine. I would get over the person they thought I was, the victim they'd made me into, and I would become someone they'd regret underestimating. 3 months after my family refused to help, I found myself hunched over my laptop at 3 a.m, trying to breathe through another pain flare while answering emails for strangers. Virtual assistant work wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills and let me work from bed when standing became impossible. You're still online? A message popped up from Douglas, another VA I'd met in a freelancer group. It's late in your time zone. Can't sleep anyway, I typed back. Might as well make money. Pain night? When isn't it? A pause then. Have you considered joining some of the chronic illness support groups I mentioned? The ones that helped my sister? I had, actually. I'd spent hours scrolling through their posts, reading stories that mirrored my own. Women dismissed by doctors, abandoned by family, fighting battles in their own bodies while the world told them it was all in their heads. My phone buzzed. Mom calling. I declined it, just like I had the last dozen times. The text that followed made my chest tight. Skylar's bridal shower next weekend. Don't embarrass us by being sick again. I blocked her number. Maria? Douglas was still waiting online. You there? Sorry, family stuff. Tell me more about those groups. Over the next hour, Douglas shared links and resources, but it was one particular comment that caught my attention. These people pay hundreds for coaches who understand their struggles, who've lived it. The next morning I called my bank. I'd like to check my surgery savings balance. Current balance is 13,047 $, the teller reported. I took a deep breath. I'd like to withdraw it all. Are you sure? I thought this was for your medical procedure. Change of plans. I'm investing in something else. That afternoon, I enrolled in 3 business courses and a health coaching certification program. Every cent I earned from VA work went to basic expenses. Every dollar from my surgery fund went to building something bigger. Douglas became my sounding board, then my mentor, then my business partner. We worked through nights, through pain flares, through moments of doubt. You really think people will pay for this? I asked him one evening, staring at our newly designed website. Wellness coaching for chronic pain sufferers? You're offering what doctors can't, he said. Understanding, strategy, hope. 6 months in, we got our first client, then another, then 10 more. I was working with our newest client when Skylar's wedding invitation arrived. The gold embossed envelope felt heavy with expectation. I dropped it, unopened, into my shredder. My phone lit up, Mum again, from a new number. Your sister is devastated you're missing the final dress fitting. Why are you being so selfish? I typed back my last message to her. I'm not being selfish. I'm being absent. There's a difference. Then I blocked that number too. A year into building the business, during a particularly bad pain day, I found myself back in the ER. The same one where they'd first discovered my endometriosis, where my family had refused to believe the diagnosis. Ms. Maria? The nurse looked concerned. Your emergency contact information is blank. Would you like to update it? I thought about Mom, about Skylar, about all the times they'd left me alone in rooms like this. No, I said. Leave it blank. That night, I posted in one of our client groups. Sometimes healing means accepting that the people who should help you won't, and building a life around that truth. The responses flooded in. Hundreds of people sharing similar stories, similar pain, similar revelations. Our client list doubled that week. 2 years after that morning in my mother's kitchen, I sat in my own apartment, reviewing our company's quarterly earnings. The numbers blurred through my tears, not from pain this time, but from a different kind of ache. Douglas called to celebrate. "We did it, Maria. The business is officially self-sustaining. You know what this means?" I did. It meant I'd built something real out of my family's disbelief, something that helped others while helping myself. "You never did get that surgery," he said quietly. "No," I agreed, touching my abdomen where the pain still lived. "But I got something else instead, something they can't take away." That night, I dreamed of that morning in the kitchen, of lying on the floor while they stepped over me. But this time, in my dream, I stood up immediately, walked out without begging, started building sooner. When I woke, my phone showed a notification, a post from Skylar's perfect Instagram life, complaining about some minor inconvenience. I unfollowed her account and opened my laptop. There were people who needed real help, real understanding, and I had work to do. Success feels different when you build it from scratch. By my 31st birthday, our wellness coaching platform had grown beyond anything I'd imagined. We'd hired 5 more coaches, all chronic illness survivors themselves, and our waiting list stretched months long. "You should see this," Douglas said during our morning video call, sharing his screen. It showed Skylar's latest Instagram post, a perfectly filtered photo of her cutting a ribbon at some charity event. The caption read, "Missing my sister today. Family is everything." I snorted. "Funny how family becomes everything when you need social media engagement." "She's been tagging you in posts like this for weeks," Douglas noted. "Want me to have legal send another cease and desist?" "Don't bother. She'll just play victim again." I switched tabs to our client dashboard. "How's the new program launch looking?" The numbers were good. Really good. Our Invisible Illness Survival Guide had sold out in pre-orders. Each sale felt like a tiny victory, not just for me, but for everyone who'd ever been told their pain wasn't real. My phone buzzed with a text from Quinn, my younger cousin. "Heads up, Mum said Aunt Karen was asking for your new address again." "Thanks for the warning," I replied. "Still not interested?" "Can't blame you," Quinn wrote back. "BTW, saw your TED Talk. Made me cry. Good crying, though." That talk had been terrifying to give. Standing on stage, telling hundreds of strangers how betrayal by family had led to building a community for others like me. The video went viral in chronic illness circles, which probably explained my mother's renewed interest in my whereabouts. Later that afternoon, I sat in my home office, interviewing a potential new coach. She had fibromyalgia and a story that echoed mine. "My husband left when the medical bills got too high," she explained. "Said he couldn't handle my negativity anymore." "Their loss becomes our strength," I told her. "You're hired." After the call, I opened my email to find a message from my old doctor's office. They were using our platform as a recommended resource for chronic pain patients. The same office where Mom and Skylar had once convinced the staff I was faking symptoms for attention. "Look what just landed in my inbox," I messaged Douglas, forwarding the email. "Karma's got a sense of humour," he replied. "Speaking of which, have you seen Skylar's GoFundMe?" I hadn't. A quick search showed she was trying to raise money for some wellness retreat. The irony wasn't lost on me. My intercom buzzed, the front desk of my building. "Ms. Maria, there's a Karen here insisting she's your mother." My hands shook slightly as I pressed the button. "Tell her I'm not available. And please update my no-entry list." "Of course. Should I call security?" "Only if she makes a scene." I watched through my window as Mom left the building, her shoulders slumped in practiced dejection. She'd probably tell everyone how her cruel daughter had turned her away. She'd conveniently forget the times she'd turned me away when I was actually dying. My phone lit up with a notification, a review on our app. "This program saved my life when my own family wouldn't believe I was sick. Thank you, Maria, for building this community." I screenshot it and sent it to Douglas. "This is why we do it." "Speaking of doing things," he responded, "the publisher called again. They really want that book." The book. I'd been avoiding it, knowing how much it would hurt to write. But maybe it was time. I opened a new document and typed, Chapter 1. They said I just wanted attention. The words flowed easier than I expected. 4 hours later, my phone buzzed with another text from Quinn. You might want to check Mum's Facebook. Skylar's having some kind of meltdown. Sure enough, my sister had posted a lengthy rant about ungrateful siblings and the importance of family forgiveness. The comments were full of sympathetic responses from people who didn't know the truth. I closed Facebook and returned to my manuscript. Let them have their narrative. I was writing my own. That evening, as I prepared for bed, a familiar pain gripped my abdomen. The endometriosis was still there, still untreated, but I'd learned to build a life around it, to use it as fuel rather than let it consume me. My phone showed one last notification, a voicemail from Mum. I hovered over the delete button but decided to listen. "Maria!" Her voice cracked with what sounded like genuine tears. "Something's happened. Please call me back. Please. It's about Skylar." I set the phone down without returning the call. Whatever crisis they were manufacturing now, it wasn't my problem. I'd learnt the hard way that sometimes the greatest act of self-care is simply walking away. Besides, I had a chapter to finish. The voicemails kept coming, each one more desperate than the last. By the fourth message, Mum's voice had lost its usual manipulative polish, replaced by raw panic. "Maria, please. She's in the ICU. The doctors say..." A sob broke her words. "They say she might not walk again without special therapy. Please call me back." I sat in my home office, finger hovering over the callback button, when Douglas's face appeared on my computer screen for our scheduled meeting. "You look rattled," he said immediately. "What happened?" "Skylar was in a car accident, spinal injury." The words felt strange in my mouth. "They say she might be paralysed. Are you okay?" I laughed, but it came out hollow. "Shouldn't you be asking if she's okay?" "I'm asking if you're okay." Before I could answer, my email pinged. Mum had sent a detailed message about Skylar's condition, complete with scanned medical records, the kind of proof they'd never believed when it was my health in question. "The experimental therapy program cost $67,000, I read aloud to Douglas. "Insurance won't cover it. Mum's asking me to help." "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking about lying on their kitchen floor, begging for help with my surgery." My voice stayed steady. "I'm thinking about how they said I was faking it." My phone lit up, Quinn calling. I put him on speaker. "It's bad, Maria," he said without preamble. "Aunt Karen's losing it. Skylar's insurance lapsed last month because she forgot to pay the premium. She was too busy with her influencer stuff to notice. How convenient that they suddenly believe in expensive medical treatments," I muttered. "There's more," Quinn continued. "They're talking about selling the house to pay for it." "What house?" "Your house. The one you bought last year. They think you'll sell it to help Skylar." The audacity struck me like a physical blow. "They think I'll sell my house? The one I bought with my own money? Aunt Karen says family helps family." I ended the call and opened Mum's email again. There it was, buried in the middle of her desperate plea. "We know you've done well with your little internet business. The house you bought would cover Skylar's treatment. It's the least you could do after everything we've done for you." "Everything they've done for me," I repeated to Douglas, who was still watching concernedly from my screen. "Like dismissing my pain for 15 years? Like refusing to co-sign a loan that could have changed my life?" "Maria." "No." I stood up, pacing. "You know what the difference is? I actually had the money for my surgery. I chose to build this business instead. Skylar chose to let her insurance lapse while posting luxury vacation photos." My phone buzzed again. Skylar this time, calling from the hospital. Against my better judgment, I answered. "How dare you ignore Mum's calls?" she slurred, likely on pain medication. "I'm lying here paralysed and you're what? Too busy with your stupid chronic pain clients? Hello to you too, Skylar. Don't be cute. Mum says you have the money. You have to help me. Like you helped me." "That was different." Her voice rose hysterically. "Your thing wasn't real. This is real. I might never walk again." I felt something cold settle in my chest. "My thing wasn't real. Funny how you're suddenly an expert on medical conditions." "Maria, please." Mum's voice cut in. She must have taken the phone. "Whatever issues we had in the past, this is your sister's life we're talking about." It was my life we were talking about back then too. Silence on their end. Then Mum, softer. "We'll lose everything trying to help her. Is that what you want?" "No," I said quietly. "That's not what I want, but I'm not selling my house." "Then you're killing your sister." Skylar had the phone again, screaming now. "Her blood will be on your hands." I ended the call and turned to Douglas's concerned face on my screen. They really think I'll cave, I said, more to myself than him. They really think they can guilt me into this. What are you going to do? I sat back down, opened my company's financial records. Our success stared back at me in clean, irrefutable numbers. Numbers that could easily save Skylar. Nothing, I said finally. I'm going to do absolutely nothing. Are you sure? I thought about all the nights I'd suffered alone, all the times they'd dismissed me, all the years of gaslighting and doubt. Yes, I said. Let them learn what it feels like to beg for help and be denied. Let them understand exactly what they did to me. As if on cue, another email from Mum arrived. We're family. You have to help. I clicked delete without reading further. They were about to learn a harsh lesson about karma, and I would be their teacher. The Zoom call request came at exactly 9 a.m. Mum's name flashed on my screen, along with Skylar's. I accepted it, steeling myself for what was coming. Maria! Mum's face appeared, makeup perfect despite the obvious strain. We need to discuss the house. There's nothing to discuss. I kept my voice level. The house isn't for sale. Skylar's face joined the screen, propped up in what was clearly a hospital bed. You heartless bitch. Do you know what they're saying about my prognosis? Actually, I do. I read the medical files you sent. Unlike when I was sick, you provided actual documentation. This is different. Skylar tried to sit up, wincing. I could be stuck in this chair forever. And I could have avoided years of organ damage if I'd gotten treatment sooner. I smiled thinly. Funny how life works out. Mum leaned closer to her camera. Maria, honey, I know we had our disagreements about your condition, but this is Skylar we're talking about. Your sister needs specialised therapy. Like I needed surgery. That was years ago. Skylar's voice cracked. Are you really going to punish me for something that happened when we were practically kids? I pulled up a calendar on my screen. You were 29 when you told Mom I was faking it for attention. I was 28 when you called my needed surgery vanity treatment. That was 3 years ago, not ancient history. I was wrong, okay? Tears streaked Skylar's face. Is that what you want to hear? I was wrong. Now please, please help me. The words I'd longed to hear for years landed hollow. No? No? Mom's practiced composure cracked. What do you mean no? I mean no. I won't sell my house. I won't give you money. I won't help. You're killing me, Skylar screamed, her hospital gown slipping as she tried to move. Your own sister. My own sister. I leaned forward. Where was my sister when I needed her? Where was my mother when I was begging for help? We didn't understand then, Mom pleaded. We do now. Please, Maria. No, you understand now because it's happening to your favourite daughter. The truth felt clean, sharp. You understand because now you're the ones in pain. A nurse appeared briefly in Skylar's frame, adjusting something. Mum used the interruption to switch tactics. What about the neighbours? What will people think when they hear you refuse to help your own sister? They'll think exactly what you taught them to think about me all those years, that I'm selfish, dramatic, attention-seeking. I shrugged. You created this narrative. Live with it. I'll tell everyone, Skylar threatened, her face red. I'll post about how you abandoned me, how you're letting me suffer. Go ahead. Unlike you, I don't live for social media approval. Mum's face hardened. Your father would be ashamed. Dad left when I was 12. You don't get to use him as emotional leverage. We're your family, Mum's voice rose. Your only family. No, I said quietly. You're just people I'm related to. There's a difference. Skylar started sobbing, loud, theatrical wails that used to make me cave. I'm going to be trapped in this chair, and it's your fault. Like my chronic pain was my fault. I kept my voice steady. Like my emergency room visits were my fault. Like my need for surgery was my fault. That's not fair, I finished. You're right. It's not fair. Just like it wasn't fair when you convinced Mom I was lying, when you made me believe I was crazy, when you left me alone with my pain because it was inconvenient for you. A notification popped up on my screen. Another email from Mum's lawyer about the house. I deleted it without reading. The house is not for sale, I repeated. Not now, not ever, and this conversation is over. Maria, wait, Mum started. I ended the call. My phone immediately lit up with text messages. "You evil, heartless monster. Skylar. After everything we've done for you, Mum, you'll regret this. Skylar again." I blocked both numbers. Douglas called moments later. "How did it go?" "Exactly as expected. They demanded, threatened, guilt-tripped, and cried, in that order." "And you're okay?" I thought about Skylar's tears, Mum's manipulation, the familiar weight of their expectations. "I'm better than okay. I'm free." "They'll try again," he warned. "Let them. The answer won't change." After we hung up, I opened my laptop and began typing. "Dear valued clients, today's wellness session will focus on setting boundaries with toxic family members." The responses flooded in immediately. People sharing similar stories, seeking advice, finding strength in each other. This was my real family now, people who understood pain, who valued truth over appearance. Let Skylar and Mom spin whatever story they wanted. I had built something stronger than their lies. Quinn's call came at midnight. "You need to get on a video call with me right now. There's something you have to hear." "What's wrong?" "Just trust me. I'm sending you a link." When the video connected, Quinn wasn't alone. Judah, Skylar's ex-boyfriend from 2 years ago, sat beside him, looking uncomfortable. "Tell her what you told me," Quinn urged. Judah cleared his throat. "Look, I wouldn't normally get involved, but after seeing Skylar's GoFundMe campaign, I can't stay quiet anymore." "What GoFundMe campaign?" Quinn shared his screen. There it was. "Help save my life. Abandoned by sister." Skylar's campaign had already raised $12,000. "That's not why I called," Judah interrupted. "Maria, do you remember when you were trying to get that surgery? When your family wouldn't help?" My stomach tightened. "Yes, Skylar did something really messed up." He glanced at Quinn, who nodded encouragingly. "She altered your medical records before showing them to your mum." The world seemed to tilt. "What?" "She had access to your patient portal. You'd given her the password during that bad flare-up when you needed help managing appointments. She deleted test results, changed dates, made it look like doctors had found nothing wrong." My hands started shaking. "How do you know this?" "She told me herself. We were fighting about her lying on social media, and she got defensive. Said something like, 'You think this is bad? I once edited my sister's medical records to convince my mum she was faking.'" Judah looked down. She was proud of it. "I have proof," Quinn added, sharing his screen again. Text messages appeared. Conversations between him and Skylar from years ago. Skylar: "Just deleted more of Maria's evidence. Mum already thinks she's faking. I'm just helping her see the truth." Quinn: "That's seriously messed up, Skylar. She's always been the family burden. I'm doing everyone a favour. The timestamps matched exactly when I'd been begging for help with my surgery." "I saved everything," Quinn said quietly. "I should have told you sooner, but Skylar would have denied it," I finished. Like she denied everything else. My phone buzzed. Another donation alert for Skylar's campaign. The description read, "My successful sister refuses to help me walk again. Please share my story." "I want to talk to her," I said suddenly. "Both of them. Now." Quinn hesitated. "Are you sure?" "Set it up." 20 minutes later, Mom and Skylar appeared on the video call. Skylar had positioned herself perfectly in her hospital bed, looking tragically brave. "Finally decided to help?" she asked. "Finally decided to tell the truth?" I countered. "About my medical records?" The colour drained from her face. Behind her, Mom froze. "I don't know what you're talking about," Skylar stammered. "Judah does." I added him to the call. "Want to repeat what you told me?" The next 10 minutes were chaos. Skylar screaming denials, then accusations, then confessions. Mom crying, claiming she never knew, then admitting she'd suspected but chose to believe Skylar. "You were always so needy," Skylar spat, her perfect victim mask cracking, "always taking attention away from everyone else. Mum already thought you were exaggerating. I just helped her see what she wanted to see." "By committing medical fraud?" My voice was ice. "By making me think I was crazy. You're still crazy." Skylar tried to sit up straighter. "Look at you now, bringing up ancient history when I'm lying here paralysed. This is why everyone always took my side. You're pathological." "No," Mum whispered, surprising us both. "No, Skylar, this is wrong." What you did was wrong. Mom! I let you convince me, Mom continued, tears streaming. I let you convince me my baby was lying, and now... She covered her face. Oh God, what do we do? What you always do, I said calmly. You chose Skylar, and now you're living with the consequences. Maria, please. Mom reached toward her camera. Now that I know the truth doesn't change anything. It just confirms what I already knew. I looked directly at Skylar. You didn't just deny my pain. You actively worked to prolong it, to discredit me, to isolate me. I was protecting our family. No, you were protecting yourself. And now, I smiled slightly, now you get to experience exactly what you put me through, begging for help, being dismissed, watching your GoFundMe fail while your family turns away. You can't. I can. I will. And unlike what you did to me, I leaned closer to my camera. This isn't fraud. This is justice. I ended the call on Skylar's scream of rage and Mom's renewed sobs. My phone immediately lit up with messages, but I ignored them all. The truth was finally out, and it felt like freedom. Skylar's GoFundMe campaign went viral, but not in the way she intended. Someone, I suspect Quinn, leaked screenshots of our video call to social media. Within hours, Justice for Maria was trending. Your story is everywhere, Douglas said during our emergency meeting. Media outlets are requesting interviews. Our client wait list has tripled. I stared at my screen, watching the fallout unfold. Skylar's carefully crafted victim narrative was unravelling comment by comment. She edited medical records to gaslight her own sister? This is literally criminal. No wonder Maria won't help her now. My phone rang, a number I didn't recognise. Is this Maria? This is Sarah from Good Morning America. We'd love to have you on to discuss. I hung up. Then another call, and another. You need to make a statement, Douglas advised. Control the narrative before they control it for you. He was right. I opened my laptop and began typing. What revenge really costs, an open letter. 3 years ago, I had 1,347 pounds saved for a surgery I desperately needed. When my family refused to help, I made a choice. Instead of treating my condition, I used that money to build a company that helps others like me, people whose pain has been dismissed, whose struggles have been minimised, whose families have failed them. Today, that same family demands I sell my home to fund experimental therapy for my sister. They call me cruel for refusing. They don't mention how they dismissed my illness for years. They certainly don't mention how my sister deliberately altered my medical records to convince our mother I was faking. You want to know where the money went? It went into building something bigger than my pain. Something that helps thousands of people now. Something my family can't touch, can't dismiss, can't edit away. I didn't get my surgery. I still live with chronic pain. But I built an empire from the ashes of what my family destroyed. And no, I won't burn it down to save the people who lit the first match. I hit publish and waited. The response was immediate. My post spread faster than Skylar's GoFundMe ever had. Chronic illness communities rallied. Former clients shared their stories. Chronic pain is real started trending alongside my name. Then came Skylar's response, a tearful video from her hospital bed. My sister is using my tragedy to promote her business. She's twisting everything to make herself the victim. I made mistakes, but the comments shut her down. You committed medical fraud. You gaslit your sister for years. Karma is real. Mum tried damage control, giving an interview to a local news station. We were misled about Maria's condition. We want to make amends. I posted a single response. Amends are for people who make mistakes. You made choices. Live with them. Douglas called again. The publisher wants to move up the book release. They're offering double the advance. Tell them yes. And the speaking tour. Book it. My phone buzzed with a text from Quinn. Skylar's GoFundMe is tanking. People are requesting refunds. I opened the campaign page. The comments section had become a battlefield. Requesting refund can't support someone who edited medical records. Donating to Maria's Chronic Pain Foundation instead. Karma comes for everyone eventually. Then came the email from Mum's lawyer, no longer demanding the house, but begging for a meeting to discuss terms. I deleted it. Skylar posted again, this time dropping the victim act for raw fury. "You're enjoying this, aren't you? Watching me suffer while you play saviour to strangers?" I replied publicly, "I used the money you denied me to build the life you now want to take from me. That's not enjoyment, that's justice." The quote went viral within hours. Douglas messaged, "CNN wants to do a feature on medical gaslighting and family trauma. Interested?" Set it up. My phone lit up with another text from Quinn. "Mum's having a breakdown. Skylar's therapy centre is demanding payment up front now that the GoFundMe failed." I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my company's website and published a new blog post announcing the Chronic Pain Justice Fund, providing therapy grants to verified victims of medical gaslighting. Within minutes, donations poured in. Each one felt like another brick in the wall between me and my family's manipulation. The final blow came from an unexpected source, my father, breaking 15 years of silence with a single email. "I saw the news. I should have believed you back then. I'm sorry I didn't. Too little, too late." I closed my laptop and stood at my office window, watching the sunset. Somewhere across town, my family was facing the consequences of their actions. Their perfect facade had cracked, revealing the rot beneath. They wanted my story. Fine. But they get the real version, every painful, validated, vindicated word of it. And unlike the medical records Skylar edited, this truth couldn't be erased. The Lake House realtor handed me the keys with a smile. "Congratulations! It's all yours." I stood on the deck overlooking the water, breathing in pine-scented air that felt cleaner than anything in the city. My phone buzzed. Douglas calling. "How's the new place?" "Peaceful," I answered. "No drama, no family, no noise, just water and trees." Speaking of family drama, he hesitated. "Have you seen the news?" I hadn't. Hadn't looked at social media or checked my emails in days. The silence had been intentional. "Skylar's moving to a standard rehabilitation facility," he continued, "the kind insurance actually covers. Apparently, she's making progress with regular physical therapy. Good for her." "You don't sound surprised." "Because I'm not," I said, watching a boat drift by. "She never needed experimental treatment. She needed attention." My phone dinged with a message from Quinn. "Mum's selling her house. The real one, not yours. Says she needs a fresh start." "Where's she going?" I texted back. "Florida. Says she can't face people here anymore." I set my phone down and walked to the edge of the deck. Below, clear water lapped against natural rock. No artifice, no pretense, no carefully maintained image. Just reality, raw and honest. The door chimed. My first delivery arriving. I signed for the package and carried the box inside. My new office was still empty except for a desk and chair, but it felt right. Clean, uncomplicated. Douglas called again. "The book hit #1 on Amazon's pre-orders." "I saw. They want to know if you'll do a dedication page." I thought about it. About all the people who deserved acknowledgement in this story. "Yes. Tell them I will." Opening my laptop, I typed, "To everyone who's ever been told their pain isn't real, this is your vindication. This is your voice. This is your victory." My phone lit up. An unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Maria?" It was Skylar, her voice smaller than I'd ever heard it. "I know you probably don't want to talk to me." "Then why are you calling?" A long pause. "Because you were right. About everything. The regular therapy is working. I didn't need experimental treatment. I wanted the attention, the drama, the chance to make me the villain again." "Yes." Her voice cracked. "I'm sorry. I know it doesn't fix anything, but I'm sorry. You're right. It doesn't fix anything. Will you ever forgive me?" I watched another boat pass by, thinking about forgiveness, about healing, about peace. "No," I said finally. "Some things can't be forgiven, but they can be finished." I ended the call and blocked her number, the last one I still had unblocked. My laptop chimed with an email from our foundation's board. The Chronic Pain Justice Fund had already helped 30 people access legitimate medical care. Real treatment, real results, real change. The doorbell rang again. This time it was Quinn. "Nice place," he said, looking around. "Very you. How did you find me?" "Douglas. Said you might need some company while settling in." He handed me a housewarming gift, a framed screenshot of Skylar's failed GoFundMe next to my viral post. Thought this belonged here. A reminder. Of what? That sometimes the best revenge is just living well. I hung the frame in my office, next to where my book cover would soon be displayed. The title glinted in embossed letters, Gaslighting, a family tradition. Quinn stayed for dinner. We sat on the deck, eating takeout and watching the sun set over the lake. You know what's funny? He said. They thought they were breaking you all those years, but they were actually making you stronger. Not funny, I corrected. Poetic. My phone buzzed one last time. Douglas again. CNN piece just aired. You're trending. Again. I turned the phone off without responding and looked out over the water. The lake was turning golden in the fading light, each wave catching fire before settling back to calm. You seem different, Quinn observed. Lighter. I am. I smiled, feeling the truth of it in my bones. I'm free. The pain in my abdomen twinged, a familiar reminder of battles fought and survived. But here, in this place I'd built from the ashes of betrayal, it felt less like a burden and more like a battle scar. I'd lost a family, but found my power. Lost their love, but gained something stronger, self-respect. The kind that comes from standing your ground, from refusing to bend, from building something beautiful out of something broken. The lake stretched out before me, endless and open, like possibilities, like future, like peace. This was my victory. Not loud or violent, but quiet and complete. And it was enough.
The number stared back at me from my phone screen. 0.E. I blinked hard, refreshed the banking app, and watched the same zeros mock me. 3 years of savings, 47,892, meant for my spinal surgery. Gone. Just gone. My name is Bonnie, and this is the story of how I destroyed my family's empire. They deserved every second of what came next. I scrolled through Instagram with trembling hands, and there it was. My brother Tyler's latest post. Him and our father posed beside a cherry-red Porsche 911, both wearing identical smirks. The caption read, "Sometimes you just have to treat yourself. Sorry, not sorry. Ours blessed hunter family first. Right." My phone buzzed, Simone calling. I let it go to voicemail, too focused on the mounting evidence in front of me. There were 3 separate transfers from my account to Tyler's over the past week, each one precisely timed when I was at physical therapy. The pain shooting down my spine felt sharper than usual as I grabbed my keys. 20 minutes later, I pulled into the circular driveway of my father's mansion, right behind that blood-red Porsche. "Well, look who finally learned to drive herself somewhere!" Tyler's voice carried from the front door. He lounged against the frame in designer sweats, looking like every stereotype of old money gone wrong. "Where is he?" I managed through gritted teeth. "Dad's in his study, but he's busy with—" I pushed past him, my cane clicking against the marble floors. The sound echoed through the cavernous foyer like a metronome counting down to detonation. "Bonnie!" my father's voice boomed as I entered his study. "To what do we owe this unexpected pleasure?" He sat behind his massive desk, perfectly pressed suit and practiced smile in place. The same smile he used in all his company promotional videos. The same smile he wore when telling me I was being dramatic about my pain. "The money," I said. "My surgery fund. You took it." "Borrowed," Tyler corrected, sliding into the room behind me. "We borrowed it. The opportunity for that Porsche was too good to pass up. We'll pay you back." "When? Don't use that tone," my father warned. "We're family. Family helps each other out." "Helps each other?" I pulled out my phone, hands shaking. "Show me where in the past 10 years you've helped me with my medical bills. Show me where you've acknowledged I need this surgery." "Oh, here we go again with the surgery." Tyler rolled his eyes. "You're fine. You're walking, aren't you?" "Barely," my voice cracked. "I can barely make it through a work day. The pain—" "Is all in your head," my father cut in smoothly. "You've always been sensitive, dramatic, like your mother." The mention of my mother, the ultimate taboo in this house, made my blood run cold. I reached into my pocket and felt the reassuring weight of my second phone, the one they didn't know about, the one that had been recording every interaction for months. "You really think I'm just going to let this go?" I asked quietly. Tyler laughed. "What are you going to do about it? Sue us? With what money?" My father stood, walking around his desk to place a hand on my shoulder. I fought the urge to shrug it off. "Sweetheart, you need to learn to be resilient. The world doesn't stop for pain. Look at your sister Kennedy. She never complains." "Kennedy works for you," I said. "She doesn't have a choice." "Everyone has a choice," he replied, his grip tightening slightly. "You're choosing to be difficult. Again." I looked between them, my father with his practiced concern, Tyler with his barely concealed contempt. 3 years of saving every penny, of working through pain that felt like fire in my bones, gone because they wanted a toy. Because they could. "You're right," I said finally, watching their faces relax. "Everyone does have a choice." I turned to leave, my cane striking the floor with purpose now. "That's my girl," my father called after me. "You'll be stronger for this." At the doorway, I paused. "You think I won't do anything? That's your first mistake." Tyler's laughter followed me down the hall. Let them laugh. They had no idea what was coming. In my car, I pulled out my second phone and stopped the recording. Then I opened a folder labelled Firestarter and added it to my collection. 3 years of conversations, screenshots, and financial records. Every cruel comment, every shady deal, every moment of gaslighting captured and catalogued. They thought they were teaching me resilience. Instead, they taught me patience. And now, finally, I had enough ammunition to burn it all down. I texted Simone, "It's time, help me end them." Her response was immediate. "About damn time, come over, we've got work to do." Simone's apartment was a tech nest of monitors and hard drives, all humming with purpose. She didn't look up from her keyboard as I entered, just held up a finger while finishing whatever code she was typing. "Show me everything," she said finally, spinning in her chair. I plugged in my backup drive and pulled up the folder structure I'd been building. 3 years of dirt, organised by date and type. But it goes back further than that. Way further. How far? I closed my eyes, remembering the first time I realised something was wrong. I was 12, Tyler was 9, he'd just won some Little League trophy, and Dad threw this massive party. Typical golden child stuff. No, listen, I had surgery scheduled that week, my first spinal fusion. Dad cancelled it the day before, said the money had to go to Tyler's private coaching instead. Said I was just being weak, that I needed to learn to push through pain. Simone's fingers flew across the keyboard, pulling up old medical records. "Jesus, Bonnie, your x-rays from back then. Yeah, but that's not even the worst part." I leaned forward, pointing to a financial statement from that year. "See that account there? The one in my name?" She squinted. "These withdrawals, they're huge, and they don't match any of your medical bills." "Because they weren't for me. Dad's been using accounts in my name since I was a minor. I found out when I tried to get a student loan for college. My credit was already destroyed." Simone's dark eyes narrowed. "That's fraud." "That's just the beginning." I pulled up more recent files. Look at these company transfers. Every major deal Sherman Industries has made in the last 5 years. There's always a shadow account, always money moving where it shouldn't. "And you have proof?" I played an audio file from 3 months ago, my father's voice filling the room. "The investors don't need to know about that account. What matters is keeping up appearances. Family business stays in the family." Simone whistled low. "Your dad's going to lose everything when this gets out." "That's the plan." I pulled up another folder. "But first, I need you to help me verify something. These payments to someone named Gage Riley, They're huge, but they don't match any official contracts. Her fingers were already moving. Gage Riley. Oh shit. Bonnie, this is big. He's like conservative Jesus in the venture capital world, all about family values and clean business. If he finds out Sherman Industries is cooking the books, he'll pull his funding, I finished, and once he does, others will follow. You're not just trying to hurt them, Simone said slowly. You're trying to destroy the whole company. My phone buzzed. Kennedy calling. I ignored it. They took everything from me, I said quietly. My savings, my credit, my chance at a normal life. They made me think I was crazy for years. Now they're going to learn what crazy really looks like. Simone turned back to her screens. These records need cleaning up. We need to make them impossible to dispute. Give me a few hours. My phone buzzed again, this time a text from Tyler. Dad says come to dinner tomorrow. Don't be difficult. Perfect timing, I said, showing Simone the text. Family dinner. Want to bet Dad's going to brag about his latest deals? You're going to record it? I pulled out my second phone. I'm going to let them hang themselves. Simone grabbed my arm. Bonnie, wait. Once we do this, once we send this to Riley, there's no going back. Your whole family. They stopped being family the day they decided my pain was inconvenient. I stood up, fighting back a wince. Besides, Kennedy's been trying to reach me. Maybe she's finally ready to pick a side. Or maybe she's warning you about something. I checked my messages. Kennedy had sent a single text. I know what you're doing. We need to talk. Tomorrow's dinner just got more interesting, I said, pocketing my phone. Can you have everything ready by then? Simone nodded. I'll clean up these records, make them airtight. But Bonnie, be careful tomorrow. Don't let them see what's coming. I thought about the way Tyler had laughed at me, the way my father's hand had gripped my shoulder. Years of being told I was weak, dramatic, unstable, years of watching them take and take while I suffered. Don't worry, I said, heading for the door. I learned from the best. I'll smile, I'll nod, I'll play the good daughter, and then I'll burn their world to the ground. As I left, I noticed a new transaction alert on my phone. Another payment from Sherman Industries to Gage Riley, bigger than any before. Dad, I whispered to myself, you really should have taught me better math skills, because your numbers don't add up, and now everyone's going to know it. The family dining room felt smaller than I remembered, like the walls were closing in with every bite of overcooked salmon. My recording phone sat in my lap, hidden under the napkin, catching every word. So then I told Riley, my father was saying, wine sloshing dangerously close to the rim of his glass, that the Q3 projections were conservative. Conservative! He has no idea what's really coming. Tyler snickered. Did you see his face when you showed him those doctored reports? Keep your voice down, Kennedy hissed, shooting a glance at the hovering housekeeper. Oh, relax, Tyler said. Maria doesn't speak enough English to understand anyway. I watched Maria's shoulders stiffen as she refilled water glasses. Her English was perfect. I'd heard her discussing classic literature with the gardener just last week, but they never bothered to notice things like that. Speaking of reports, my father continued, the offshore accounts are performing beautifully. Riley thinks all that money is going to charitable foundations. He laughed. Technically, the Sherman Family Foundation is a charity. To us. Kennedy pushed her food around her plate. Maybe we shouldn't what? Tyler cut in. Make money? Create opportunities? Some of us actually contribute to this family, unlike others. He looked pointedly at me. I took a slow sip of water. How's the new car handling? Like a dream, Tyler smirked. Thanks for your contribution to that, sis. Don't worry, you'll get your money back, eventually. Tyler, Kennedy warned. What? She's fine. Look at her, sitting there all quiet and well-behaved. Finally learned her place, didn't you, Bonnie? My father raised his glass. A toast to family unity, to understanding our roles. The crystal clinked. I lifted my glass with steady hands, the phone recording every moment. Actually, I said carefully, I've been thinking about roles lately, about legacy. My father's eyes narrowed slightly. Oh? Been reading about family businesses, succession planning, very interesting stuff. Tyler laughed. Since when do you care about the business? I've always cared. I just show it differently. I turned to my father. For instance, I've been following the Riley account closely. Fascinating structure. The room went still. Kennedy's fork clattered against her plate. The business doesn't concern you, my father said flatly. No, but we're family. Isn't that what you always say? Family first. Tyler leaned forward. What exactly are you implying? Nothing at all, I smiled. Just taking an interest. Like you said, I should contribute more. Bonnie, Kennedy said quietly, maybe we should talk after dinner. Yes, my father's voice hardened. Maybe you should. Kennedy can explain how things work around here. Oh, I think I'm starting to understand exactly how things work. Maria appeared at my elbow with dessert. As she set down the plate, she deliberately bumped my water glass, sending water across my lap, and covering my quick movement to stop the recording. Lo siento, she said, but her eyes met mine with clear purpose. She'd been listening. She knew. Clumsy as always, Tyler muttered. I stood, dabbing at my dress. I should clean up. Kennedy, walk with me? In the hallway bathroom, Kennedy closed the door behind us. What are you doing? What does it look like? It looks like you're trying to get yourself cut off completely. She ran a hand through her hair. Dad's already talking about removing you from the family trust. Let him. I pulled out my phone, showing her the folder of evidence. I've got something better than a trust fund. Her face went pale as she scrolled. How long have you been gathering this? Long enough. The question is, Kennedy, where will you be standing when it all comes out? You can't be serious. This would destroy everything. They destroyed everything when they stole my surgery money, when they used my name for fraud, when they made me think I was crazy for years. I took my phone back. You know what they've done to both of us? She looked away. It's complicated. No, it's really not. I headed for the door. But you've got about 12 hours to decide if you want to be on the right side of what's coming. Bonnie, wait. Tell Dad I wasn't feeling well. Must be all that drama he's always talking about. Back in my car, I sent the dinner recording to Simone, adding it to our growing file. Then I composed a new email, attaching everything, the financial records, the recordings, the proof of fraud. I addressed it to Gage Riley with the subject line, "From my family to yours." My finger hovered over the send button. 3 years of planning, a lifetime of pain, all coming down to this moment. I thought of Tyler's smirk, my father's dismissal, Kennedy's fear. I pressed send. Your move, I whispered to the empty car. Your move. 3 days of silence felt like an eternity. I checked my email obsessively, jumped at every phone notification, but nothing happened. The world kept spinning. My father kept posting photos of business meetings. Tyler kept sharing shots of his new car. Then Simone called. Check your texts, she said without preamble. My cousin Ingrid, the one who works for Riley, she just sent me something interesting. I opened the message. Boss cancelled all meetings for next week. Spent 3 hours with legal yesterday. Storm's coming. My hands shook as I typed back. How bad? The reply came instantly. Bad enough that he made me shred his personal copies of the Sherman contracts. He never shreds anything. I called my father's office, using my sweetest voice with his secretary. Hi, Linda. Just checking if the investor meeting is still on for Thursday? Oh, honey, didn't your father tell you? Mr. Riley's office cancelled. Something about scheduling conflicts. Scheduling conflicts, right? I was making coffee when my phone buzzed with a news alert. My cup crashed to the floor as I read the headline, Riley Ventures issues statement on integrity concerns with major partnership. The article was vague but pointed. In light of recent information regarding potential irregularities in financial reporting, my phone exploded with notifications. First Tyler, what did you do? Then my father. Family meeting, now. I ignored them both, but turned on the business news. The anchor was already discussing it. Trading of Sherman Industries stock has been temporarily halted following concerning statements from major investor Gage Riley. Simone called again, "It's happening! Riley's people are going through everything with a fine-toothed comb. Ingrid says they found even more than what we sent them. Has anyone traced the leak back to me? No, we covered our tracks, but Bonnie, your father's not stupid. He'll figure it out." As if on cue, my father's contact photo lit up my screen. I declined the call. "Good," Simone said. "Don't engage. Let them sweat." Another text from Tyler. "You think you're so clever? Wait until Dad." I blocked his number. The doorbell rang. I froze, expecting my father's angry face. Instead, I found Kennedy standing there, a large suitcase at her feet. "I quit," she said simply. "This morning, right after Riley's statement hit the news." I didn't move from the doorway. Why? Because I watched Dad throw his phone through a window when the stock trading was halted. Because Tyler's already talking about moving assets offshore. Because... She took a shaky breath. "Because you were right about everything. You could be recording this for them." She pulled out her phone, removed the battery, and handed both pieces to me. "I'm done being their puppet. I have proof of my own, stuff even you don't know about, if you'll let me help." I studied her face, the dark circles under her eyes, the slight tremor in her hands. This wasn't the polished Kennedy who sat silently through family dinners. This was the sister I remembered from before, when we were kids and still on the same side. "You can come in," I said finally. "But if you're playing me..." "I'm not." She dragged her suitcase inside. "I already sent everything to my lawyer. Dad can't touch me now." My phone buzzed with another news alert. Second major investor pulls out of Sherman Industries amid growing concerns. Kennedy read it over my shoulder. "That'll be the Jacobsons. They always follow Riley's lead." "How bad is it going to get?" "Bad." She met my eyes. "Dad's been running a house of cards for years. Once people start looking closely..." She pulled out a laptop. "Want to see what else I brought with me?" Before I could answer, both our phones chimed with the same message, a company-wide email from our father. "To all Sherman Industries employees, recent media reports have contained malicious falsehoods about our company. Rest assured, we are taking swift action against these baseless attacks. Any employee found spreading these lies will face immediate termination and legal action. We are family. Family stays loyal." Kennedy's laugh was hollow. "Loyal, like he was loyal to Mom?" I turned to her sharply. "What about Mom?" "Oh, God," she covered her mouth. "You don't know, do you, about why she really left?" Another chime, this time from Simone. "Riley's office just released another statement. Turn on the news now." As I reached for the remote, Kennedy grabbed my arm. "Bonnie, there's something you need to know first. About Mom, about Dad, about accounts he set up in our names when we were kids." The TV flickered to life, showing Riley himself at a podium. His face was grave as he began to speak. This was it. No going back now. "The evidence of financial misconduct at Sherman Industries is both extensive and deeply troubling." Riley's voice filled my living room. "As a company built on family values, we cannot maintain ties with an organization that betrays the trust of its investors, employees, and the public." Kennedy muted the TV. "Before this goes any further, you need to know the truth. Mom didn't abandon us. Dad forced her out. What are you talking about? She opened her laptop, pulling up old documents. Remember when you were 8 and suddenly Mum was just gone? Dad said she ran off with some guy. He said she couldn't handle family responsibility. Look at this. Kennedy turned the screen toward me. These are accounts Dad opened in our names, all 3 of us kids. But look at Mum's signature here. She was listed as a co-trustee. My phone buzzed continuously as news alerts poured in, but I couldn't look away from the documents. Mum found out he was using our identities for fraud, Kennedy continued. She threatened to report him, so he gave her a choice: leave with nothing or go to jail as an accomplice. Why didn't you tell me before? Because I was scared, because he convinced me she deserved it, because... Kennedy's voice broke. Because I was a coward. My father's face appeared on the TV screen, now unmuted. He stood at a podium outside Sherman Industries headquarters. These allegations are completely false, he declared. My daughter Bonnie, who has a history of mental health issues and substance abuse, has fabricated these claims out of spite. What? I grabbed the remote, turning up the volume. My beloved daughter has struggled with reality for years, he continued, his voice dripping with practiced concern. We've tried to help her, but she's refused treatment. These accusations are a cry for help. Tyler appeared beside him, nodding solemnly. We love my sister, but she needs professional help. She's been increasingly unstable since being denied an unnecessary surgery she wanted. Those lying... I started to stand, but Kennedy pulled me back down. Wait, she said, let them dig their hole deeper. My phone rang. Simone. Turn on your laptop now, she said when I answered. They're trying to smear you online, but we've got something better. I opened my email to find a video file from Simone. Security footage from Sherman Industries dated 3 days ago. My father and Tyler, crystal clear, discussing how to move money before Riley discovered the truth. Where did you get this? Martin Olson sent it to me, Simone said. The CFO, he's jumping ship, Bonnie, says he's got more. Kennedy was already typing furiously on her laptop. I'm sending everything I have to Riley's legal team, bank statements, board meeting minutes, everything. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. This is Ingrid. Riley wants to meet tomorrow morning. Bring everything you have. On TV, my father was still talking. We ask for privacy during this difficult time as we help Bonnie get the treatment she needs. Treatment? I laughed bitterly. Let's talk about treatment. I pulled up my medical records on my phone, snapped photos of my spine x-rays, and started typing. What are you doing? Kennedy asked. Fighting back. I posted the images on every social media platform. Dear Dad, here are my unnecessary medical records. Care to explain why you cancelled my surgery when I was 12? Or why you stole my surgery fund last week? Within minutes, the posts started going viral. Comments flooded in, many from people sharing similar stories of medical gaslighting and financial abuse. Bonnie, Simone's voice was urgent through the phone. Martin just sent more files. Your dad, he's been doing this to other families too, using their kids' identities, setting up fake accounts. It's huge. Kennedy's hand found mine. We need to call Mom. We don't even know where she is. Actually, Kennedy pulled out an old envelope. I do. I've always known. I was too afraid to tell you. Before I could respond, Tyler's face filled my phone screen. He was going live on Instagram. My sister is having another episode, he said gravely. We have proof of her instability. The screen split to show a video of me screaming incoherently at someone off camera. That's not real, I whispered. I never... It's doctored, Simone confirmed quickly. Give me an hour, I'll prove it's fake. Kennedy stood up, shoulders straight. I'm doing my own live stream right now. Time to tell everyone what really happened to their perfect family. My phone buzzed one final time. A message from Martin Olson. Meeting tomorrow with SEC investigators. Your father doesn't know yet. Bring everything. I looked at Kennedy, already setting up her camera. At Simone, working to expose Tyler's fake video. At my medical records, finally telling their own truth. Dad wanted to teach me about family, I said quietly. Let's show him what I learned. The SEC's conference room felt colder than a morgue. Martin Olson sat across from me, spreading documents across the table, while 2 federal investigators took notes. These accounts, Martin pointed to a spreadsheet, were all opened using stolen identities, children's identities. The oldest ones date back 20 years, including my sister's, Kennedy added. She hadn't left my side since her live stream went viral yesterday. Dad used all 3 of us, but Bonnie got the worst of it. My phone buzzed, Simone sending updates. She'd proven Tyler's video was fake, spliced together from multiple sources. The damage control was already starting. Mr. Riley is prepared to testify, one investigator said, reviewing her notes. His statement about the offshore accounts is particularly damaging. A knock at the door interrupted us. A young woman entered with a folder. Sorry to interrupt, but you need to see this. Sherman Industries just lost 3 more major clients, stocks in freefall. Martin nodded grimly. It's over. Charles can't recover from this. My phone lit up again, this time with a news alert. I nearly dropped it reading the headline. Sherman Industries CEO steps down amid fraud investigation. He's running, Kennedy said, reading over my shoulder. Tyler too. Their social media's gone dark. The investigator leaned forward. Miss Sherman, we'll need to discuss protective measures. Your father may. Already handled, Simone's voice came through my speakerphone. Bonnie's got security and I'm monitoring all communications. They won't get near her. A new email popped up on my laptop. From the Public Health Grant Committee I'd applied to months ago. My hands shook as I opened it. What is it? Kennedy asked. I got approved. For the surgery, full coverage. I couldn't keep my voice steady. They fast-tracked it after seeing my case in the news. Kennedy hugged me tight, while Martin smiled for the first time that day. Sometimes karma works fast. The meeting continued, details piling up like evidence in a murder case. Which, in a way, it was. The death of Sherman Industries happening in real time. One more thing, Martin said as we wrapped up. The internal audit found something else. Letters never sent, from your mother. My heart stopped. What? He slid a thick envelope across the table. Your father intercepted them, all of them, for years. I stared at the envelope but couldn't bring myself to open it. Not here, not now. The surgery's scheduled for next week, I said instead. Will you need anything else before then? The investigator shook her head. We have more than enough. Get your surgery, Miss Sherman. We'll handle your father. Outside, Kennedy helped me to the car. My back was screaming after sitting so long, but for the first time in years, I felt hope. Real, tangible hope. Bonnie! A familiar voice called out. Tyler stood by his Porsche, looking dishevelled. Please, just listen. Step back, Kennedy warned, putting herself between us. Haven't you done enough? Dad's gone, Tyler said quickly. Took off this morning. Left me to deal with everything. Please, I need your help. I laughed, actually laughed. Like I needed your help. When you stole my surgery money? I'm your brother. No, I cut him off. You're just another one of Dad's victims. You just haven't figured it out yet. My phone rang, an unknown number. I answered on speaker. Hello, Bonnie. My father's voice smooth as ever. Quite a show you've put on. Where are you? Somewhere safe. But I wanted you to know I underestimated you. You truly are my daughter. I'm nothing like you. No? He chuckled. Look what you've done. Destroyed a family business, ruined your brother's future, all for revenge, if that's not a Sherman move. Goodbye, Dad. I hung up. Tyler stood there, lost. Looking at him now, I saw what I'd missed before, another pawn in our father's game. The investigators have questions for you, I told him. Your choice if you answer them. As Kennedy drove me home, I finally opened my mother's letters. 20 years of love, explanations and pain poured out onto my lap. The first line of the earliest letter caught my eye. My dearest Bonnie, I pray someday you'll understand why I had to leave, and that you'll be stronger than I was. I am. My phone chimed with a final news alert. Sherman Industries faces class action lawsuit as more victims come forward. Ready for surgery next week? Kennedy asked softly. I looked at the letters in my lap, thought of the long road ahead. Ready for everything. The hospital room was quiet except for the steady beep of monitors. Post-surgery hour 3, and I was finally clear-headed enough to check my phone. Hundreds of notifications lit up the screen. You shouldn't be looking at that yet, Kennedy scolded, trying to take the phone away. Wait, I said, opening a news alert. They found him. My father's arrest had happened while I was under anaesthesia. The photo showed him being led from a private airstrip in handcuffs, his perfect suit wrinkled, his practiced smile gone. Tyler turned himself in too, Kennedy said softly. He's cooperating with investigators. Simone burst into the room, laptop under her arm. You're trending! The blog post went viral! Before surgery, I'd published everything, every document, recording and letter, in a post titled Family Goals, a Story of Financial Abuse and Survival. It had exploded overnight. How many views? I tried to sit up, wincing at the movement. Over 2 million, and that's just the beginning. Simone opened her laptop. People are sharing their own stories. It's becoming a movement. My phone buzzed with a text from Martin. SEC found more accounts. Your mother wasn't his first victim. This goes back to his own childhood. Have you read all the letters yet? Kennedy asked, gesturing to Mum's envelope on the bedside table. Most of them. I picked up the most recent one, dated just 2 years ago. She tried to warn me. She knew what he was doing with my medical fund. But she couldn't reach you directly without risking everything, Simone finished. God, this would make an amazing documentary. A knock at the door interrupted us. A nurse entered, followed by a familiar face, Maria, our former housekeeper. I hope it's okay, she said, setting down a small plant. I wanted to check on you, and to thank you. Thank me? Your father. He did the same thing to my daughter, used her identity when she was young. The lawyers say we can join the class action now. More visitors came throughout the day. Martin brought updates about the investigation. Ingrid stopped by with messages from Riley. Even Tyler's ex-girlfriend appeared, sharing stories of financial manipulation we'd never known about. Miss Sherman? A woman in a sharp suit appeared in the doorway. I'm Amanda Torres from the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. When you're feeling stronger, we'd like to talk. About what? Your father's pattern goes deeper than anyone realized. We're finding connections to other companies, other families. Your blog post opened a floodgate. After she left, Kennedy pulled up the latest news on her tablet. Look at this. Dad's old business partners are falling like dominoes. Everyone's scrambling to distance themselves. Including the governor, Simone added. He's returning all campaign contributions from Sherman Industries. My phone lit up with another message. This one from Tyler, sent from his lawyer's office. I'm telling them everything about the fake accounts, the offshore money, all of it. I'm sorry, Bonnie. I was wrong about everything. Do you believe him? Kennedy asked. I believe he's scared. I shifted in the bed, the pain medication wearing off. But maybe that's what he needed to be. Simone's laptop chimed. Oh, wow, the Women's Business Alliance wants you to speak at their conference. Topic: financial abuse and family power dynamics. They know I'm not an expert, right? No, Kennedy said firmly. You're something better. You're a survivor who fought back. The nurse returned with pain medication, but also news. There's a reporter in the lobby. Says she's doing a feature on familial financial abuse. Wants to talk to you. I looked at my sister, my best friend, the stack of letters from my mother. 20 years of silence broken open like a dam. Tell her I'll talk, I said, but not just about me, about everyone who's been trapped by family loyalty, everyone who's been told to stay quiet. Like Mom, Kennedy whispered. Like Mom, I agreed, and everyone else. My phone buzzed one final time that day, an email from an unknown address. The subject line made my heart stop. It's time to come home. It's from Mom, I breathed, opening it. Her words filled the screen. My brave, brilliant girl, I've been following everything. You did what I couldn't. You stood up, spoke out, and broke the cycle. I'm ready to tell my part of the story, if you'll let me. Tears blurred my vision as I typed back, Come home, Mom. We have a lot to talk about. Kennedy read the exchange over my shoulder, her own tears falling. She's really coming back. We all are, I said. Coming back, standing up, speaking out. Simone was already typing. I'm starting a website for others like us, people trapped by family financial abuse. Perfect, I smiled, feeling stronger despite the surgery pain. Let's help them all come home. The lake behind the women's shelter rippled with early morning light. I sat on my favourite bench, watching a family of ducks glide past while my newly healed spine supported me without pain. There you are, Simone called, hurrying down the path with her laptop. The donations just hit 3 million. We can fund the whole shelter renovation now. Our non-profit, Digital Defence Alliance, had grown from a simple website into something bigger than we'd imagined. Hundreds of survivors sharing stories, helping others escape financial abuse. Did you see the news about Dad? Kennedy joined us, carrying coffee. 15 years, no parole. I nodded. The sentencing had been yesterday. I hadn't attended, but I'd watched the live stream. My father, still trying to look dignified in his prison jumpsuit, had finally shown his true face when the judge mentioned restitution payments. Tyler got 5 years, Simone added, but with good behaviour and his cooperation. He's already helping other kids of white-collar criminals, Kennedy said, running support groups from inside. My phone buzzed, a message from Maria. Another family just arrived at the shelter, mother and 3 kids. They're ready to talk when you are. I'll be right there. I stood up, testing my back. No pain, just strength. Bonnie! Mum's voice carried across the lawn. She was walking toward us with Martin Olsen, deep in conversation. Since her return, she'd become our financial advisor, helping other survivors untangle years of identity theft and hidden accounts. The SEC wants to use our case as a training model, she said, reaching us. Martin's team is drafting the curriculum. Speaking of training, Simone pulled up her calendar. The FBI Financial Crimes Unit needs more dates for their workshop series. They say your sessions are always full. I laughed. Tell them I'm booked solid with shelter work for the next month. About that, Kennedy pulled out her tablet. Remember that trust fund Dad set up in your name? The legitimate one from Grandma? The only account he didn't drain? What about it? The courts unfroze it yesterday. You can finally access it. I looked at the shelter behind us, our shelter now, funded by recovered assets from Sherman Industries. Women and children learned financial literacy here, rebuilt their lives, found their voices. Add it to the renovation fund, I said. The shelter needs a better security system. Mum squeezed my hand. Your grandmother would be proud of that choice. Miss Bonnie? A teenage girl appeared on the path. The new family's settled in. But the mum's scared about testifying against her husband. "Tell her I'm coming." I turned to my mother. "Want to help with this one?" She smiled. "Always." As we walked toward the shelter, Simone called out, "Don't forget, you're keynoting at the Justice Conference next week." "Already finished my speech," I called back. "It's called Standing Without Pain." Inside, the new family huddled on a couch, a mother and 3 daughters, all looking as scared as I'd been that day I checked my empty bank account. "Hi," I said softly, sitting across from them. "I'm Bonnie. This is my mum Janet. Want to tell us your story?" The mother clutched her purse, eyes darting to the door. "You don't understand. He'll find us. He always does." "I do understand." I pulled up our website on my tablet, showed her the thousands of stories there. "See all these people? They thought they were alone too, but they're not, and neither are you." "But the money," she whispered. "He controls everything." Mum leaned forward. "So did my husband. Want to know how we beat him?" The eldest daughter, maybe 16, spoke up. "I've read about you, about what you did. Can you really help us?" "Better," I said. "We can help you help yourselves." I looked around the room, at my mother, strong and free, at this family taking their first steps toward freedom, at the sunlight streaming through windows we'd installed ourselves. My phone buzzed with another message from Kennedy. "Riley's Foundation just doubled their funding pledge. We can open 2 more shelters this year." The mother was crying now, but they were tears of relief. Her daughters huddled closer, protective and hopeful. "Ready to take your life back?" I asked them. The mother straightened her shoulders, looked at her daughters and nodded. "Ready?" "Then let's begin," I said, opening my laptop. "Your story starts now." Outside, more families would come, more stories would unfold, more voices would rise. But right here, right now, watching this family begin their journey to freedom, I felt the truth of what we'd built from the ashes of my father's empire. He taught me to stand on my own 2 feet, but we taught each other how to soar.
I should have known something was wrong when my sister showed up to my daughter's first birthday party wearing white. Not just any white, a flowing, ethereal dress that looked suspiciously like something you'd wear to announce a pregnancy. I just didn't expect her to actually do it right as I was about to help Lily blow out her candle. "My name is Ruby, and I've spent 32 years being the responsible one. The good daughter, the one who always had her act together, while my younger sister Sarah careened from crisis to crisis, leaving our parents to clean up her messes. But that day, watching her steal my baby spotlight with practiced precision, something inside me finally snapped. "Everyone, I have amazing news!" Sarah's voice cut through the happy birthday song like a knife through butter. My hands froze on the cake knife as 20 pairs of eyes shifted from my beautiful daughter in her pink tutu to my beaming sister. "I'm pregnant!" The collective gasps and squeals were immediate. My mother burst into tears, rushing to embrace Sarah, while my father stood there grinning like he'd just won the lottery. I felt Harper, my best friend, squeeze my shoulder in silent support. "Mama!" Lily's tiny voice brought me back to reality. She sat in her high chair, confused by the sudden shift in attention, her chubby fingers reaching for the rainbow sprinkle cake we'd spent hours perfecting. "Just a minute, sweetie," I managed, forcing a smile. "Looks like Aunt Sarah has some big news." "Oh my God, this is just perfect timing," my mother gushed, still clutching Sarah. "Now the cousins will be so close in age." Sarah untangled herself from our mother's embrace and floated toward me, that familiar calculating look in her eyes that always preceded asking for something. "Actually, Ruby, I've been thinking..." "Here we go. You know how Chad and I are still trying to figure out our living situation?" She gestured vaguely toward her on-again, off-again boyfriend, who was busy stuffing his face with chips in the corner. Well, your house has that beautiful nursery you designed for Lily. I gripped the cake knife tighter. What about it? Well, Lily's getting bigger now, and you have that spare room upstairs that would make such a cute big girl room for her. Sarah's voice took on that wheedling tone I knew too well. Maybe you could let me have the nursery. You can just build another one upstairs. The room went quiet, except for Lily's soft babbling. I could feel Harper tensing beside me, ready to jump in, but I held up a hand to stop her. Let me get this straight, I said, my voice eerily calm. You want me to give you my nursery? The one I spent months designing and decorating for my daughter? Well, yeah, Sarah brightened, mistaking my tone for agreement. It makes perfect sense. You're established. You're doing so well with your job, and I really need the help right now. Chad's between opportunities and— You mean he's unemployed again? Harper muttered under her breath. Ruby, my mother cut in. Your sister needs family support right now. You know how hard pregnancy can be, especially when you're— She paused, glancing at Chad, dealing with various challenges. My father nodded sagely. It would really help your sister out, Ruby, and you've always been so good at handling things. I looked around the room, at my parents' expectant faces, at Chad's disinterested slouch, at Sarah's practiced pout. Then I looked at my daughter, still waiting patiently for her cake, trusting that Mama would make everything right. Something shifted inside me. Years of being the responsible one, the reliable one, the one who always gave in. It all crystallized into a diamond-hard resolve. I smiled, a cold smile that didn't reach my eyes. Of course, Sarah, you can bring her things next weekend. Sarah squealed and hugged me, while our parents beamed with approval. Only Harper looked concerned, knowing me well enough to recognize the danger in my tone. Now, I said, turning back to my daughter, let's cut this cake, shall we? As everyone gathered around to sing again, I caught Harper's questioning look. I gave her a slight nod, one that said, Watch me. Just watch what happens next. Because what my dear family didn't know was that I'd finally learned something important. Sometimes being the responsible one means taking responsibility for your own happiness. And sometimes that means burning it all down. I helped Lily blow out her candle, already planning how to light a much bigger fire. You're not seriously considering giving her the nursery, are you? Harper set down her coffee mug with enough force to make the cafe table rattle. 3 days had passed since the birthday party disaster, and my best friend's patience was wearing thinner than mine. Of course not, I replied, stirring my latte absently. But you should have seen the text I got this morning. Sarah's already picking out paint colors. Harper pulled out her phone. Show me. I handed over mine, watching her scroll through the endless stream of messages from my sister. Pictures of cribs, wallpaper samples, and nursery themes flooded the screen, interspersed with comments like, "This is exactly what I want," and "We should start moving things out this weekend." Jesus, Harper muttered. She really thinks she's getting your house, doesn't she? A memory flashed through my mind. Sarah, 16, taking my prom dress without asking because she needed it more for her junior formal. Me, standing in my closet, finding the dress returned with wine stains and a torn hem. Remember when she worked for me? I asked, watching a young mother at the next table trying to wrangle her toddler. 3 months at my company, and she nearly cost us our biggest client because she couldn't be bothered to show up on time. And your parents said you were being too hard on her, Harper finished, because she was going through a rough patch with what's his name? Dylan, I supplied. Before Chad, after Trevor, but before Marcus. The one you paid rent for? No, that was Josh. Dylan was the one I bailed out of jail after he got drunk and tried to steal a police horse. I laughed, but it came out hollow. God, I sound like a human ATM, don't I? Harper leaned forward. Ruby, honey, you're not an ATM. You're a doormat, and I say that with love. My phone buzzed again. This time it was my mother. Sarah's so excited about the nursery. We should all go shopping this weekend. Your father and I can help with the renovation costs for Lily's new room. I showed Harper the message. Her eyes narrowed. They really think they can just redistribute your house? They've been redistributing my life since I was old enough to have something worth taking. The words came out sharper than I intended. When I got my first job at 16, guess who had to share her paychecks? When I got my college acceptance letters, guess who had to defer a year so Sarah could have her dream gap year in Europe? Which she quit after 3 weeks, Harper added. And who paid for the emergency flight home? I raised my hand like a student answering a question. This girl. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a real estate listing from Ivy, my agent. A beautiful 3-bedroom condo across town, newly renovated, with a view of the park. Harper peered at the screen. What's that about? I stood up, gathering my things. That's my next appointment. Want to come see what karma looks like? 20 minutes later, we stood in an empty living room flooded with natural light. Ivy, clipboard in hand, watched me run my fingers along the smooth quartz countertops in the kitchen. The sellers are motivated, she said. They'd consider a quick close if the offer's right. I walked to the smaller bedroom, already picturing Lily's toys scattered across the hardwood floors. It was smaller than her current nursery, but it had a window seat perfect for reading stories. Ruby, Harper called from the master bedroom, come look at this view. I joined her at the window, taking in the sprawling park below. No shared walls with entitled siblings, no space for family to crash indefinitely, just peace. What about your house? Harper asked quietly. I pulled out my phone, showing her the text I'd drafted to Ivy earlier. List it, price it to sell fast, and don't tell anyone in my family. Ivy appeared in the doorway, her professional mask cracking slightly to reveal a smile. Are we doing this? I thought about Sarah's white dress at the party, about my daughter's confused face when her special day was hijacked, about 32 years of being the responsible one, the reliable one, the good daughter. It's go time, I whispered, hitting send on the text. Harper wrapped an arm around my shoulders. You know they're going to lose their minds, right? I watched a young couple playing with their dog in the park below, free and happy in their own space. Maybe it's time they learned what it feels like to lose something they thought they were entitled to. Shall I draw up the paperwork? Ivy asked. I nodded, feeling lighter than I had in years. Make it ironclad. No family discounts this time. The nursery looked different in the harsh light of my phone's camera. Each click captured another piece of evidence. Proof that this room had been lovingly created for Lily, not commandeered as a gift for Sarah. Ivy had suggested documenting everything before the sale listing went live. And this is where the changing table used to be, I narrated quietly, panning across the mint green wall with its hand-painted butterflies, before I moved it to make room for the free sign I'm about to put on it. A soft knock at the door made me jump. Ruby? Honey? Are you home? My mother's voice. Of course. I quickly shut off the camera and shoved my phone in my pocket. Coming! I opened the front door to find both my parents standing there, matching concerned expressions on their faces. My father held a takeout bag from my favourite Thai place, their standard peace offering. We brought lunch, my mother said, already pushing past me into the house, and we wanted to talk about Sarah's nursery. I bit back a correction. Not Sarah's nursery, never Sarah's nursery. Instead, I smiled. Perfect timing. I was just organising things upstairs. They followed me to the kitchen, where my mother immediately began unpacking containers of pad thai and green curry. My father settled into his usual chair, the one that would be gone in less than a week. So, my mother started, sliding a container toward me. Sarah's been showing me some lovely ideas for the room. She's thinking of a woodland theme, very gender neutral, since they don't know what they're having yet. I stabbed a piece of chicken with my fork. That sounds nice. We know this is a big change, my father added, but your mother and I have been talking. We'd like to help with the renovation costs for Lily's new room. Make it really special for her. That's so generous, I said, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. But actually, I've been thinking about Sarah's situation. My mother perked up. Oh? You're right. She needs support right now. And this house, well, it has so much space. Too much space, really, for just Lily and me. I watched their faces light up with approval and felt a twisted satisfaction. I've decided to make some changes to help accommodate everyone. Oh, Ruby! My mother reached across the table to squeeze my hand. I knew you'd understand. You've always been so practical. A thump from upstairs made us all look up. Lily, waking from her nap. I'll get her, I said quickly, but my mother was already standing. Let me. I want to see my grandbaby. I listened to her footsteps on the stairs, counting the seconds until she'd reached the nursery. The nursery where half the furniture was already gone, carefully documented and stored in a rental unit across town. The realtor thinks it'll sell within days, I whispered to myself. What was that, honey? My father asked. Nothing. Just thinking out loud about paint samples. My mother's voice drifted down from upstairs. Ruby, where's the rocking chair? Oh, I moved it, I called back, making space for Sarah's things. I heard Lily's happy babbling as my mother brought her downstairs. My daughter took one look at me and announced, Bye-bye house? My heart stopped. What does she mean, bye-bye house? My mother asked, settling Lily into her high chair. I forced a laugh. Oh, you know toddlers. She's been saying that to everything lately. Bye-bye spoon, bye-bye cup. It's her new favorite phrase. My father chuckled, but my mother's eyes narrowed slightly. I busied myself wiping invisible crumbs from the counter. When did you say Sarah could start moving things in? She asked. Next weekend, I replied smoothly. I thought we could make a day of it. Get everyone to help. That's wonderful. My mother's suspicion evaporated. I'll call Sarah right now. She'll be so excited. As she stepped into the living room to make the call, my father leaned in close. You're doing the right thing, Ruby. Family has to stick together. I nodded, thinking of the offer Ivy had texted me this morning. 30,000 over asking price, cash buyers, willing to close in 10 days. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Ivy again. Offer accepted? I glanced at my parents, my mother gushing into her phone, my father contentedly eating his lunch, both so certain of their right to redistribute my life. Both so sure I would never say no. Take it, I typed back. Lily caught my eye from her high chair and grinned. Bye-bye house, she said again, waving her little hand. I smiled back, my heart racing with equal parts guilt and liberation. That's right, baby girl, I whispered. Bye-bye house, and bye-bye to a whole lot more. You're evil, Harper laughed, slapping another Sarah's Things label on an empty box. Pure evil. I love it. We'd spent the afternoon filling boxes with old newspapers, making them look convincingly heavy. Each one was carefully labelled, Sarah's books, Sarah's winter clothes, Sarah's kitchen stuff. The moving company would be here tomorrow to take my actual belongings to the new condo, but these decoy boxes would stay, completing the illusion that I was making space for my sister. The best part, I said, taping up another box. Sarah texted asking if she could store some things here early. I told her there was plenty of room. Does she have any actual things to store? Nope. But she'll show up with Chad's gaming console and 3 trash bags of laundry, just like last time. Harper snorted. How many times has she temporarily moved in with you? 4. I checked my phone. No, 5. I forgot about the time she got kicked out of that yoga instructor's apartment. The one she was dating while still living with Marcus? That's the one. Lily toddled past us, dragging her favorite stuffed elephant. "Bye-bye, house!" she called out cheerfully. Harper and I froze. "Ruby?" My mother's voice came from the front door. "Ruby, are you home?" "Quick!" I hissed, shoving the empty boxes behind the couch. "Act natural!" My mother appeared in the doorway, just as Harper sprawled dramatically across the floor, pretending to play with Lily. "Oh, look who's here!" my mother cooed at Lily, who immediately ran to her grandmother. "And Harper, too. Are you helping Ruby organize?" "You know me," Harper replied smoothly. "Always happy to help with family stuff." My mother's eyes swept the room, taking in the stack of labeled boxes. "Oh, good. You're making space for Sarah. She's so excited about moving in. She's already ordered a crib." I felt my eye twitch. "She ordered a crib?" "Yes. It's being delivered next week. I hope that's okay. She used your address since she's staying with Chad right now, and his place is—" She wrinkled her nose. "Not exactly delivery-friendly." "Perfect," I said through gritted teeth. "Just perfect." "Bye-bye, house," Lily announced again. My mother frowned. "She's still saying that. Ruby, do you think she's picking up on some anxiety about the changes? Maybe we should have a family meeting to discuss the transition." "No!" Harper and I said simultaneously. "I mean," I recovered quickly, "there's no need. Everything's under control. We're all very excited about Sarah moving in. Right, Harper?" Harper's smile could have cracked glass. "So excited. Well, I just stopped by to drop off these paint samples Sarah picked out." My mother placed a fan of color swatches on the coffee table. "She's thinking mint green might be too basic. She was thinking more of a royal purple." I thought about the mint green walls I'd spent weeks perfecting, the ones currently being photographed for the listing. "How unique." "Bye-bye, house," Lily said again, pointing at the window where, thankfully, the for sale sign hadn't been installed yet. My mother gathered her purse. "I should go. Your father's making dinner tonight, but Sarah might stop by later to measure the windows for curtains." After she left, Harper and I collapsed onto the couch. "That was close," she breathed. "But Ruby, you have to do something about Lily's new catchphrase before she blows your cover." I know. I picked up my daughter, who immediately started playing with my hair. "But she's not wrong. We are saying bye-bye to the house, and to the family's endless expectations." My phone buzzed, a text from Ivy. "Sign installation tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. sharp." "You ready for this?" Harper asked softly. "Once that sign goes up, there's no going back." I looked around at the staged boxes, the paint samples, the space that had never really been mine, because my family had always felt entitled to it. Then I looked at my daughter, innocent and happy, unaware that her mother was about to burn every bridge we'd ever crossed. "You know what the worst part is?" I said, bouncing Lily on my knee. "They're so convinced I'll never say no that they're not even bothering to ask permission anymore. They're just taking." "Not for much longer," Harper reminded me. My phone buzzed again. Sarah this time. "Found the perfect chandelier for my nursery. Ordering it now. You don't mind if they deliver it there next week, right? Love you." I showed Harper the text. She raised an eyebrow. "Want me to help you stack more empty boxes?" "Yes," I said, setting Lily down. "And then we're going to practice saying a new phrase. Right, baby girl?" Lily looked up at me with her big brown eyes. "Bye-bye, house?" "No, sweetie. This time we're saying bye-bye, Sarah." I watched through my living room window as Sarah's rented U-Haul truck pulled into my driveway. Right on schedule. My sister sat in the passenger seat, one hand resting on her barely visible baby bump, while Chad attempted a three-point turn that nearly took out my mailbox. My parents' car pulled in right behind them. "Ready?" Harper whispered from beside me. She'd insisted on being here for moral support, though I suspected it was more for the entertainment value. Almost. I checked my phone. The movers had finished clearing out my actual belongings hours ago. The new condo was ready. Lily was safely at daycare. Everything was in place. Just waiting for the perfect moment. Outside, Sarah hopped down from the truck, her face lighting up at the sight of the nursery furniture I'd carefully arranged on the curb with a large, "Free" sign. My mother was already heading for the front door, keyring in hand, the key I'd conveniently forgotten to ask her to return months ago. The doorbell rang. "Places," I muttered to Harper, who retreated to the kitchen with her phone ready to record. I opened the door to find my entire family on the porch, beaming like they'd just won a prize. "We're here," Sarah announced, pushing past me into the house. "Chad, grab those boxes by the door. They're labeled for the nursery. Mom, did you bring the paint samples? And Ruby, we need to talk about that chandelier delivery." She stopped dead in her tracks. The entrance hall was completely empty. No boxes, no furniture, no pictures on the walls. "Ruby?" My mother's voice wavered. "What's going on?" I smiled sweetly. "Oh, did I forget to mention? The house has been sold." The silence that followed was deafening. "What?" Sarah's voice came out as a squeak. "The house is sold." I pointed to the massive "For Sale" sign in the front yard, now sporting a bright red "Sold" sticker across it. "Closing is next week, but... Sarah's face went from confusion to rage in record time. "You can't sell the house. What about the nursery? What about my baby?" "Your baby?" I laughed. "You mean the baby you're having with your unemployed boyfriend, for whom you expected me to give up my daughter's nursery? That baby?" "Ruby," my father stepped forward, using his reasonable voice. "Let's talk about this. You can't just make decisions like this without consulting the family." "Actually, I can. It's my house, my name on the deed, my mortgage payments, my decision." Sarah burst into tears, the dramatic, wailing kind she'd perfected since childhood. "How could you do this to me? I'm pregnant. Where am I supposed to go?" "Not my problem." I gestured to the furniture on the curb. "But feel free to take the nursery set. Consider it my baby shower gift." My mother grabbed my arm. "Ruby, stop this nonsense right now. You're being cruel." "Cruel?" I pulled away from her grip. "Cruel is hijacking my daughter's first birthday party to announce a pregnancy. Cruel is assuming you can just take over my home because Sarah needs another handout. Cruel is never, ever asking what I want or need because you're all too busy taking." "But we're family," Sarah sobbed. "No," I said quietly. "We're not. We're just people who share DNA, and a long history of me giving while you take." Chad, who had been silent until now, finally spoke up. "So we drove this U-Haul out here for nothing?" "Not nothing," Harper called from the kitchen doorway, phone still recording. "There's some lovely free furniture on the curb. Better hurry though. I posted it on Facebook Marketplace an hour ago." As if on cue, a car pulled up to the curb, and a young couple started loading the changing table into their SUV. "This isn't over," Sarah hissed, mascara running down her face. "You'll regret this." "I doubt it." I opened the front door wider. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to finish packing. The new owners want to do a final walkthrough tomorrow." "Ruby, please." My mother tried one last time. "We can work this out." I thought about all the times I'd given in to that plea. All the times I'd sacrificed my own needs to work things out for Sarah. Not anymore. "The house was mine," I said calmly. "I sold it. Have a nice move." I closed the door on their shocked faces, listening to Sarah's wails turn to angry screams outside. Through the window, I watched as another car pulled up for the free furniture, while my family stood frozen in disbelief. Harper stopped recording and gave me a high five. That was beautiful. It's not over, I said, hearing Sarah kick the U-Haul's tire in frustration. They'll be back. Let them come. Harper grinned. We've got it all on video. Outside, the sold sign gleamed in the afternoon sun, a beacon of my liberation. And somewhere across town, in a peaceful condo overlooking a park, my daughter's new room was waiting, free of family drama, free of manipulation, and most importantly, free of Sarah. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing for 3 days. I scrolled through the messages while Lily napped in her new room, the afternoon sun streaming through the Parkview windows. "You've reached a new low," read my aunt's text. "Your poor sister is devastated." "How could you do this to your family?" demanded my cousin. "Your father is heartbroken," my mother wrote. "He had to take a day off work." The voicemails were worse. "Ruby, it's Mum again. Sarah's been throwing up from stress. If anything happens to this baby, it's on you. Call me back." "Hey sis, it's me. My lawyer says what you did could be considered emotional distress. Just letting you know." Harper sat across from me at my new kitchen island, reading the messages over my shoulder. "Your sister has a lawyer now. She dated one for 2 weeks last year. He gave her his card when she keyed his car. Of course he did." Harper grabbed my phone. "That's it. We're blocking them all." "Wait." I reached for the phone, but Harper held it away. "No waiting. Look at you. You haven't slept properly since the move. You jump every time your phone buzzes. This isn't healthy." She was right. I'd spent 3 nights lying awake, replaying the looks on their faces when they saw the sold sign. The way Sarah's voice cracked when she realized I wasn't joking. My father's disappointed headshake. I swallowed hard. Part of me still wants them to understand, to finally see things from my perspective. "They won't," Harper said gently. "They've had 32 years to see your perspective. They're not going to start now." My phone buzzed again. This time it was Sarah posting on Facebook. "Some people think money and success give them the right to destroy families. Karma will come for those who hurt pregnant women. You're toxic, betrayed, your family trauma." The comments flooded in immediately. "Stay strong, girl. Some sisters are just jealous of new babies. Can't believe anyone would do this to their pregnant sister." Harper made a disgusted noise. "Oh, that's rich coming from the woman who announced her pregnancy at her niece's first birthday party." A knock at the door made us both jump. Through the peephole, I saw Chad shifting awkwardly in the hallway. "Should I call security?" Harper whispered. I shook my head and opened the door. "What do you want, Chad?" He looked worse than usual, unshaven, wearing a wrinkled t-shirt with what looked like yesterday's pizza stains. "She's staying at my place and losing her mind." "You broke her, Ruby." "I broke her?" I laughed incredulously. "She tried to take my house." "Look, I get it wasn't cool how she asked, but—" "Asked?" I cut him off. "She didn't ask. She announced it at my daughter's birthday party and expected me to just hand over my home, just like she's expected me to hand over everything else her entire life." Chad ran a hand through his greasy hair. "She's pregnant, man, with my kid. We need help." "Then help her yourself. Get a job. Be an actual partner instead of another problem for her to dump on me." "You don't understand." "No, you don't understand." I stepped into the hallway, closing the door so Lily wouldn't wake up. "For years I've watched Sarah bounce between guys like you, men who think their problems are everyone else's responsibility. And every time she crashes and burns, guess who has to clean up the mess? Not anymore. She's your sister, and I'm done being her safety net." I pulled out my phone, showing him Sarah's Facebook post. "Tell her if she wants to talk about karma, she should remember every rent check I covered, every crisis I solved, every time I put her first. Then she can talk about karma." Chad's face hardened. Sarah's right. You're just jealous because she's having a baby and you're alone. I laughed so hard I had to lean against the wall. I have a beautiful daughter, a successful career, and now, a peaceful home where no one can guilt me into fixing their lives. Trust me, I'm not jealous. He opened his mouth to argue, but Harper appeared in the doorway. I believe my friend asked you to leave. After he skulked away, Harper handed me back my phone. Ready to block them now? I looked at the screen. 3 more missed calls from my mother, 2 texts from Sarah, and a group chat message from my father asking the extended family to pray for Ruby's heart to soften. Do it, I said. Block them all. As Harper systematically blocked every family contact, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. Through the window, I could see the park where I'd take Lily to play later. No drama, no guilt, no manipulation. There, Harper announced, handing back my phone. Now it's just you, me, and that bottle of wine I brought to celebrate your freedom. From the bedroom, I heard Lily stirring from her nap. Make that you, me, Lily, and wine. Perfect combination, Harper smiled. The only family you need. I can't believe I let you talk me into this, I muttered to Harper as we sat in the neutral territory of her apartment, waiting for Sarah to arrive. 2 weeks had passed since the moving day showdown, and my sister had finally agreed to meet, but only with Harper mediating. She needs to hear it, Harper said, arranging coffee cups on the table. And you need to say it. All of it. The doorbell rang exactly on time. A first for Sarah, who'd never been punctual in her life. When Harper opened the door, my sister walked in, looking like she'd dressed for a funeral. Black maternity dress, dark circles under her eyes, one hand protectively over her barely showing stomach. Ruby. Her voice was cold. Sarah. Mine was colder. Harper gestured to the couch. Let's all sit down. Coffee? Tea? I can't have caffeine, Sarah sniffed. Because of the baby. Not that some people care about that. Water it is, Harper said cheerfully, though I caught her eye roll. We sat in awkward silence until Harper cleared her throat. Sarah, you wanted to talk. So talk. Sarah's lower lip trembled. I just want to understand how you could be so evil. Taking away my baby's future home? Your baby's future home? I interrupted. You mean my house? The one I bought? The one I've been paying for? We're family! Sarah's voice rose. Family helps each other. Like you helped me when Lily was born? I leaned forward. Oh, wait, you didn't. You were too busy backpacking through Thailand with... what's his name? That's not fair. I was finding myself. While I was changing diapers and working 60-hour weeks. Alone. Sarah's face crumpled. I'm trying to do better now. I want to be a good mum, like you. I thought you'd help me. By giving you my house? By sharing. By being a sister. Tears spilled down her cheeks. But you're just selfish and bitter and... Selfish! I stood up so fast my coffee cup rattled. Let's talk about selfish, Sarah. Let's talk about the time you maxed out my credit card buying festival tickets. Or when you borrowed my car and got 3 parking tickets you never paid. Or how about when you got fired from the job I got you, because you were too hungover to show up. I was going through things. You're always going through things, and I'm always expected to fix them. I was shouting now, years of suppressed rage finally breaking free. Do you know what it's like to be the responsible one? To watch your sister wreck everything she touches while everyone expects you to clean up the mess? That's not... When was the last time you asked about my life? About Lily? When was the last time you showed up for anyone but yourself? Sarah stood too, mascara running down her face. You think you're so perfect. Miss Independent with her perfect job and perfect house and perfect life? Well, guess what? Some of us struggle. Some of us need help. Help is one thing. Entitlement is another. I took a deep breath. I finally realized something, Sarah. None of you ever loved me unconditionally. You only loved what I could give. The room went silent, except for Sarah's ragged breathing. That's not true, she whispered. No? Then name one time, just one, when you put my needs before yours. Sarah opened her mouth, then closed it. Her hand drifted to her stomach again, a gesture that once would have made me cave, would have sent me rushing to fix everything. Not anymore. I have something now that I own completely, I said quietly. Peace, and I won't let you take that too. So that's it? Sarah's voice cracked. You're just done with me? With all of us? I'm done being the family ATM. I'm done being the responsible one who has to sacrifice everything. I'm done watching you take and take and take. Harper, who'd been silent throughout our exchange, finally spoke. Sarah, I think it's time for you to go. My sister gathered her purse with shaking hands. At the door she turned back. You'll regret this, when my baby's born and you're not in their life. No, I cut her off. You'll regret this, when your baby's born and you finally understand what it means to be responsible for someone else's happiness, when you realize that burning bridges has consequences. She stared at me for a long moment, then left without another word. Through the window, I watched her walk to her car alone, probably for the first time in her life. Harper touched my shoulder. You okay? I wiped away tears I hadn't realized were falling. No, but I will be. Want to go get Lily from daycare and take her to the park? I nodded, thinking of my daughter's innocent smile, her unconditional love. Yeah, let's go home. Because that's what I had now. Not just a house, but a real home. One built on my terms, free from the weight of toxic family obligations. Hiya, Mama! Lily squealed as I pushed her on the park swing. The autumn breeze carried the sound of her laughter across the playground, mixing with the rustle of falling leaves. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Probably another blocked message from my family. They'd taken to creating new accounts just to tell me how cruel I was. I'd gotten good at blocking those too. Ruby? A familiar voice made me turn. Sarah stood at the edge of the playground, her pregnancy now clearly visible under a loose sweater. She looked different, tired, but somehow more real than I'd ever seen her. I slowed Lily's swing. What are you doing here? I live nearby now, actually. She gestured to a small apartment building across from the park. Chad and I broke up. I got a job at the coffee shop downstairs. That explained why she looked different. She was wearing a barista's apron instead of her usual designer clothes. You're working? I couldn't keep the surprise from my voice. Yeah. She smiled weakly. Turns out when you can't rely on someone else to fix everything, you have to fix it yourself. Lily pointed at Sarah's belly. Baby? That's right, sweetie, Sarah said softly. Your cousin's in there. I helped Lily out of the swing. Why are you here, Sarah? I had my first ultrasound yesterday. She pulled a grainy black and white photo from her apron pocket. It's a girl, and it made me think about Mum, about how she always played us against each other, about how I let her do it because it was easier than growing up. I sat on the empty swing, pushing myself slightly with one foot while Lily played in the sand nearby. Did Mom send you? No, she doesn't know I'm here. She's still... Sarah sighed. She's still Mom, but I'm trying not to be... well, me. What does that mean? It means I'm sorry. The words came out in a rush. Not just for the house thing, for everything. For being the hurricane that blew through your life expecting you to rebuild everything I destroyed. I studied her face, looking for the manipulation I'd grown so used to seeing. Instead, I found something new: accountability. The thing is, she continued, when Chad left and Mum started talking about me moving back home, I realized I was about to do to my daughter what Mom did to us, make her part of this cycle of dependency, of never growing up. So you got a job instead. And an apartment. It's tiny, and the elevator doesn't work, and I have to make coffee for rude people at 6 a.m., but... She straightened her apron. It's mine. I did it myself. Lily ran over with a handful of sand, proudly showing it to both of us before letting it slip through her fingers. I'm not asking for anything, Sarah said quickly. I want my daughter to know her cousin, to know what strength looks like. Because that's what you are, Ruby. Strong. Not cruel like Mom says. Strong. I watched Lily playing, thinking about all the times I'd wished for this, for Sarah to finally see me. Really see me. There's a coffee shop near my condo too, I said finally. Are they treating you better at yours? Sarah laughed. A real laugh, not her usual practiced giggle. The tips are decent, and my manager says I'm getting better at not burning the lattes. Lily and I usually get hot chocolate there on Sunday mornings, around 9. She caught her breath. Yeah? Yeah. And sometimes we feed the ducks after, when we're not too busy. I'd like that. She wiped her eyes. God, these pregnancy hormones are killer. Tell me about it. I cried at a paper towel commercial when I was pregnant with Lily. We shared a smile, small, tentative but real. I should get back to work, Sarah said, adjusting her apron. But Sunday? I nodded. Sunday. As she walked away, Lily waved. Bye-bye, baby. You know what, sweetie? I scooped her up, breathing in her baby shampoo smell. I think we just said hello instead. That evening, as I tucked Lily into bed in our cozy condo, I thought about karma. Everyone had expected it to look like revenge, like my family getting what they deserved. Instead, it looked like Sarah in an apron, learning to stand on her own. Like me, learning to set boundaries without burning every bridge. Sometimes karma isn't about monsters getting punished. Sometimes it's about people finally facing themselves in the mirror. I kissed Lily's forehead and whispered, "Sweet dreams, baby girl." Because that's what I'd really bought when I sold that house. Not just peace, but the chance for a new story. One where strength didn't mean carrying everyone else's burdens, and family didn't mean sacrificing yourself. One where bye-bye house meant hello to something better.
I always thought family meant unconditional love until I checked my bank balance that Tuesday morning. The number staring back at me wasn't just wrong, it was impossible. I refreshed the page 3 times before the reality sank in. $47,000 of my savings had vanished. My name is Yara, and I'm the responsible one, the reliable daughter, the one who always said yes when my family needed help. That's probably why I agreed to the joint account in the first place. For emergencies, Dad said. To keep the family safe, Mom added. I was 29, a senior software engineer, and I'd been saving for my own house since I graduated college. I called my father first. No answer. Then my mother. Straight to voicemail. My hands were shaking as I dialed my brother Tristan's number, but I already knew he wouldn't pick up. He never did. The drive to my parents' house took 20 minutes. I found them in the kitchen, Mom washing dishes, Dad reading the paper like it was any other morning. Where's my money? I stood in the doorway, phone clutched in my hand. Dad barely looked up. Good morning to you too, mija. Don't mija me. $47,000 is gone from our joint account. What happened? Mom turned off the faucet, drying her hands slowly on a dish towel. Yara, honey, sit down. We need to talk. No, I don't want to sit. I want answers. Dad folded his newspaper deliberately. Your brother needed help. We handled it. The room started spinning. Handled what? Tristan got into some trouble with gambling debts. Mom's voice was barely a whisper. There was this man, Ramon. You took my house down payment to pay off Tristan's bookie? The words felt like acid in my mouth. We had no choice, Dad snapped. This man was dangerous. Tristan could have been hurt. And what about me? That was my money, my future. Mom started crying, her go-to move whenever things got uncomfortable. You're being selfish, Yara. This is family. Tristan needed us. Selfish? I laughed, but it came out more like a sob. I've given you everything I could since I was 18. College fund for Tristan? I helped. New roof? I paid. Car repairs? Emergency dental work? All me. When do I get to stop being the family ATM? Dad stood up, his chair scraping against the tile. That's enough. You have a good job, a nice apartment. Your brother has nothing. We raised you better than this. Better than what? Better than expecting to keep my own money? Money comes and goes, Mom said, wiping her eyes. Family is forever. I left before they could see me cry. Drove home in a daze, barely remembering the trip. My phone buzzed with text messages, probably more guilt trips from Mom, but I ignored them. That night, my phone rang. Dad's number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Silence on the line. Then I heard voices. Dad must have pocket dialed me. Finally settled Tristan's debts with Yara's money. Dad's voice, distant but clear. He was talking to someone else. Francisco, that's terrible. Aunt Ruby's voice. Does she know how much? She found out today. Made a scene about it, too. Acting like we stole from her. You did steal from her. It was a joint account. Perfectly legal. Besides, what's she going to do? She always falls in line eventually. That's why we put the account in her name. She's the responsible one. And Tristan? Dad laughed. He's young. He'll figure it out. At least now we don't have Ramon breathing down our necks. I sat there listening, my whole body numb. They hadn't just taken my money. They'd planned it. Used me. Because I was reliable. Because I always said yes. The call ended abruptly. Dad must have realized his phone was on. Within seconds, my screen lit up with a text from him. Sorry, pocket dial. I stared at those two words for a long time. Sorry. Such a small word for such a massive betrayal. In that moment, I realized I wasn't their daughter. I was their wallet with a pulse, their safety net, their backup plan. My phone buzzed again. A text from Tristan. Hey sis, heard you're upset. Can we talk? I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my laptop and started a new document. At the top, I typed Financial Transactions, Martinez Family, 2020-2023. Below that, I began listing dates, amounts, and patterns I'd noticed over the years. They thought they knew me. Reliable Yara. Responsible Yara. Yara who always forgives. But they had no idea what they'd just created. Because the thing about responsible people, we keep receipts, and I was about to show them exactly how responsible I could be. You're not going to like what I found, I told Fiona, sliding a folder across her desk. 3 weeks had passed since discovering the theft, and I'd spent every free moment building my case. Fiona, my former college roommate turned corporate attorney, opened the folder and started reading. Her eyebrows climbed higher with each page. Jesus, Yara, she looked up. These transfer patterns, they've been bleeding you dry for years. Keep going. I pointed to the last page. Check the signature on that loan document. She squinted at the paper. This is dated 2 years ago. A co-signed personal loan for $20,000? That's not my signature. Shit! Fiona leaned back in her chair. They forged it? Tristan did, probably with Dad's blessing. I pulled out my phone, playing the recorded conversation from last week. Mom's voice filled the room. Just sign it like you did last time, honey. Yara won't mind. Fiona rubbed her temples. You know what this is, right? It's not just theft anymore. We're talking fraud, identity theft, possible tax evasion. I know exactly what it is. I met her eyes. That's why I'm here. What do you want? I want everything they took from me. Not just the money, the dignity, the respect. I want them to face consequences for once in their lives. Fiona stood up and walked to her office window. Remember when we were sophomores and that guy stole your research project? I smiled despite myself. You helped me prove he plagiarized it. And he got expelled. She turned back to me. This is bigger than that, Yara. This is family. If you start this fight, there's no going back. No family dinners, no holidays, no reconciliation. They already killed all that when they stole my future. A memory hit me suddenly, standing in my parents' backyard 3 years ago, watching workers replace the roof. I'd just sold my travel fund, money I'd saved for a dream trip to study abroad in graduate school. Mom had hugged me, saying how blessed she was to have such a giving daughter. Now I wondered if they'd use that money for Tristan too. Fiona, I said quietly, I need your help, but I need to do this right. She sat back down, pulling out a legal pad. Revenge is a loaded gun. If you fire it, be ready for the kickback. I'm ready. Okay. She started writing. First, we document everything, every transfer, every forged signature, every recorded conversation. Then we start building the paper trail. My phone buzzed. Another text from Mom. Family dinner Sunday? Tristan misses you. I showed it to Fiona. Don't respond, she advised. From now on, everything goes through me. No direct contact unless absolutely necessary. What's our first move? The bank. She tapped her pen against the desk. That joint account? We're going to have it audited. Every transaction flagged as suspicious. Every gift over the tax-free limit reported. They'll know it was me. Of course they will, but they won't be able to prove it. She leaned forward. Listen carefully, Yara. I can help you, but after this, you don't go back. You hear me? This ends with them facing real consequences. My phone buzzed again. Dad this time. Your mother's crying because you won't answer her texts. Is this how we raised you? I turned off my phone. Tell me what to do next, I said. Fiona handed me a business card. This is Sandra from the bank's fraud division. Call her tomorrow. Express concern about unauthorized transfers from your joint account. Ask questions. Plant seeds of doubt. And then? Then we wait. Let the system do its job. She started making notes. Meanwhile, we'll gather evidence about that forged loan signature. That's your nuclear option if we need it. I thought about all the times I'd backed down, stayed quiet, been the good daughter. All the dreams I'd sacrificed because family came first. All the times Tristan got bailed out while I paid the price. One more thing, Fiona said, looking up from her notes. You need an alibi for what's coming. Start being visible, go to work events, post on social media, let people see you living normally. Why? Because when this hits, your family will try to paint you as bitter and vindictive. We need to show you're just a victim seeking justice. I nodded, standing up. Thank you, Fiona. Don't thank me yet. She closed the folder. This is going to get ugly before it gets better. Are you sure you want to do this? I thought about Dad's laughter on that accidental phone call, about Mom's tears being used as weapons, about Tristan's endless second chances. They raised me to be responsible, I said. Time to show them exactly how responsible I can be. Fiona's smile was sharp. Then let's get to work. Sandra from the bank's fraud division had kind eyes and a voice that could cut steel. Ms. Yara, can you explain why you believe these transfers were unauthorized? I sat in her office, wearing my most professional blazer, the one I saved for client meetings. I discovered several large withdrawals that I never approved. When I confronted my family, they admitted using the money to pay off my brother's gambling debts. I see. She typed something into her computer. And the payments were made to whom? A man named Ramon. He's some kind of bookie. I pulled out my phone. I have a recording of my father discussing the payment with my aunt. Sandra's eyebrows shot up as she listened to the recording. There seems to be some misrepresented purpose here. Would you be open to providing your side in a formal statement? Absolutely. While Sandra printed forms, my phone lit up with a text from Layla, my coworker. Your brother's here at the office looking for you. My stomach clenched. I texted back. Stall him. I'm not there. What exactly are you hoping to achieve here? Sandra asked, returning with paperwork. I want my money back, and I want to ensure this never happens again. She nodded, sliding the forms across her desk. These transfers were marked as gifts to avoid scrutiny, but given the circumstances, we may need to involve other departments. Other departments? Tax compliance, for one. Gifts over $15,000 require proper documentation. These weren't gifts. They were unauthorized transfers to a gambling operator. My phone buzzed again. Layla. He's gone. Said to tell you he needs help with something urgent. I bet he did. After leaving the bank, I drove straight to Fiona's office. She was on the phone when I walked in, but her expression told me everything. Just got off with my contact at the county records office, she said, hanging up. Your parents put up their house as collateral for a private loan. Guess who the lender is? Ramon? Bingo. They used their home equity to secure a gambling debt. Very illegal, especially since Ramon isn't a licensed lender. I sank into a chair. Why would they risk their house? Because they thought they had you as backup. Fiona pulled up something on her computer. Look at this. I found a secondary account under your father's name. It's linked to an offshore bank. A failsafe, I realized, in case everything went wrong. Exactly. And guess what else? She turned the screen towards me. The account was opened the same day they drained your savings. My phone rang. Tristan, I let it go to voicemail. He showed up at my office today, I told Fiona. Don't engage. Not yet. She started typing. We need to document everything. Every call, every visit, every attempt at contact. My voicemail notification pinged. Tristan's voice filled the room. Sis, I know you're mad, but I really need your help. Just one more time. I promise. Call me back. Delete it, Fiona said, but save the timestamp. I did as she said, then asked, What's our next move? We follow the money. She showed me another document. Ramon's operation isn't exactly legal. Once the bank flags these transfers as suspicious, it'll trigger an automatic review. And my parents? They'll have to explain why they misrepresented the transfers as gifts. The IRS doesn't like that kind of creative accounting. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. Your father's blood pressure is through the roof because of this bank investigation. Is this what you wanted? Fiona read it over my shoulder. Classic manipulation. Don't respond. I wasn't planning to. Good. She closed her laptop. Because tomorrow things get interesting. The bank's fraud division is going to request documentation for every major transfer from the past 3 years. They won't have it. Exactly. And when they can't produce it? She smiled. Well, let's just say the dominoes will start falling. I stood up to leave, but Fiona caught my arm. Yara, remember what I said about kickback? It's starting. They'll try to guilt you, shame you, maybe even threaten you. Are you ready for that? I thought about the text from Mom, about Tristan's desperate voicemail, about Dad's hidden account. They taught me everything I know about responsibility, I said. Time for their lesson plan to backfire. As I walked to my car, another text came through, this time from Aunt Ruby. I know what they did to you. When you're ready to talk, I'm here. I showed it to Fiona, who was walking me out. Keep that one close, she advised. We might need her later. The sun was setting as I drove home, casting long shadows across the city. Somewhere out there, my family was probably having dinner, making plans, thinking they still had control. They had no idea what was coming. The first crack appeared exactly where Fiona predicted, in the tax paperwork. I was at work when my phone lit up with her message. They filed the transfers as gifts. IRS flagged it. Meeting in 20? I found her in her office, surrounded by documents. Your parents filed 6 separate gifts to Tristan last year, she said without looking up. All just under the reporting threshold. Very convenient. Too convenient? Way too convenient. The IRS loves patterns like that. She handed me a paper. They call it structuring. It's a huge red flag. My phone rang. Tristan again. This time I answered and put it on speaker. Sis? His voice cracked. Please, I need to explain. I'm listening. Look, I messed up, I know that, but I'll pay you back someday, I swear. Just, can you call off these investigators? I caught Fiona's eye. She nodded, pressing record on her phone. How exactly did you plan to pay me back, Tristan? I don't know yet, but I will. You know me, I always figure something out. Like you figured out how to forge my signature on that loan? Silence. Yeah, I know about that too. That wasn't. Mom and Dad said it would be okay. They said you'd understand. Understand fraud? Don't be dramatic. His voice hardened. They were right. You always think you're better than us. The line went dead. Fiona stopped recording. Well, that was helpful. How so? He just admitted to the forgery and implicated your parents as co-conspirators. She added the recording to her evidence file. Plus, it shows a pattern of behavior. They knew what they were doing was wrong. My laptop pinged with an email from Sandra at the bank. Meeting requested. Urgent matter regarding account activity. 20 minutes later, we sat in Sandra's office. She looked grave. "We've completed our initial review," she said, sliding a folder across her desk. "These transactions raise several concerns. First, the gifts were structured to avoid reporting requirements. Second, we found evidence of possible identity theft." "The loan," I said. "Yes, and there's more." She pulled up something on her screen. "Your father's secondary account? It's linked to a series of suspicious wire transfers." Fiona leaned forward. "Money laundering? We can't confirm without a full investigation." But Sandra met my eyes. "There seems to be some misrepresented purpose here. Would you be willing to provide a formal statement?" "About everything?" "Everything." I looked at Fiona, who nodded. "Tell them." For the next hour, I laid it all out. The years of financial abuse, the forged signatures, the recorded conversations. Sandra took detailed notes. "One last thing," she said as we finished. "We'd like to verify this signature. It lists you as a co-signer in 2021. I felt the room tilt as she showed me the document. Another loan, one I'd never seen before. "That's not my signature either." Sandra's expression hardened. "That's what we suspected." Back in Fiona's office, my phone exploded with texts. "Mom, the bank called your father. What have you done?" "Dad, call me immediately." "Tristan, you've ruined everything." "Don't respond," Fiona warned. "Let them panic." "What happens now?" "Now?" She smiled grimly. "Now we wait for the IRS to do their job. And believe me, they're very good at their job." My phone buzzed again. "Aunt Ruby, your mother's hysterical. They got a letter from the IRS." "Should I feel bad?" I asked Fiona. "For wanting justice? For stopping them from stealing your future?" She shook her head. "They made their choices. Now they get to live with them." I scrolled through my photos, finding one from 3 years ago, me and Tristan at his college graduation. I'd helped pay for that, too. "You know what the worst part is?" I said, showing Fiona the photo. "I would have helped him if he'd just asked. Actually asked, not stolen." "That's why you're better than them," she replied. "And that's why you'll win." My phone lit up with one final text from Dad. "We raised you better than this." I thought about all the times they'd used that line, all the times they'd manipulated me with family obligation and guilt. "You're right, Dad," I muttered, turning off my phone. "You raised me to be thorough, responsible, and methodical. Congratulations. Your lesson worked perfectly." Fiona was watching me. "Ready for phase 2? I nodded. "Let's show them exactly what their responsible daughter can do." She opened her laptop, pulling up a new document. "Then let's talk about that offshore account your father thinks we haven't found yet." Outside, thunder rolled across the sky. A storm was coming. Good. I'd always done my best work in the rain. The cafe where I met Aunt Ruby was quiet for a Sunday morning. She looked older than I remembered, worn down by family secrets. "Your mother hasn't slept in days," she said, stirring her coffee. "The bank froze their home equity line. They're reviewing the mortgage contract." "Because Dad used the house as collateral for Ramon?" She nodded. "Francisco always thought he could fix everything with money, usually yours." "Why did you agree to meet me?" Ruby set down her spoon. "Because I watched them do this to you for 20 years. Every time Tristan messed up, you paid the price. Literally." "Tell me about Dad," I said. "About why he favors Tristan." She sighed. "Your father was 19 when Tristan was born. Scared, overwhelmed. He saw himself in your brother, all that charm, all that potential. But you?" She reached across the table, touching my hand. "You were different. Strong, independent, like your grandmother." "The one who cut Dad off?" "For the same reasons you're fighting back now. He took advantage, thought family meant unlimited chances." My phone buzzed. Mom calling. I declined it. "They got another letter yesterday," Ruby said. "From the IRS this time." Margaret burst into tears, called me crying about how you're tearing the family apart. "I'm tearing it apart? They stole my house deposit, forged my signature, used me as their personal bank for years." "I know." Ruby pulled out her phone, showing me a text from Mom. We were just trying to make it fair. You always had everything together. I laughed bitterly. Everything together? I worked 2 jobs through college, lived on ramen, saved every penny while they handed Tristan everything. Francisco thought he was protecting him. Ruby's voice was tired. He didn't want Tristan to struggle like he did, but he forgot about you. No, I corrected her. He took advantage of me. My phone lit up with another text. Layla, your brother's here again, looking rough. Does Tristan know? Ruby asked. About the investigation? He knows something's wrong. Keeps trying to see me at work. Be careful, she warned. He's desperate. Ramon isn't exactly the forgiving type. I showed her the documentation I'd gathered, the transfers, the forged signatures, the recorded calls. Her hands shook as she read. This will destroy them, she whispered. They destroyed themselves. I'm just providing evidence. Ruby's phone chimed, Dad calling. She answered on speaker. Have you talked to her? His voice was strained. Yes. And? She has proof, Francisco. Of everything. Silence. Then, tell her to stop this. Now, before she ruins this family. The family's already ruined, Ruby replied. You did that yourself. She hung up, meeting my eyes. What do you need from me? Just the truth. When they ask, tell them what you've seen, what they did. They'll never forgive me. Welcome to my world. As if on cue, my phone buzzed with a text from Mom. We raised you better than this. Family forgives. Funny how forgiveness only goes one way, Ruby muttered, reading the text. They take and take, but the moment you stand up for yourself, I'm the villain, I finished. No. She squeezed my hand. You're the wake-up call they never wanted. Outside the cafe, thunder rumbled. Ruby looked out at the gathering storm. Your grandmother would be proud, she said quietly. She always said the strongest women in our family were the ones who learned to say no. Did Dad ever forgive her? For cutting him off? He didn't have to. She wasn't asking for forgiveness. She was teaching him consequences. My phone lit up again. Fiona. IRS wants another meeting. Tomorrow morning. It's really happening, isn't it? Ruby asked. I nodded. The bank's fraud division is involved now. They're investigating every transfer, every loan, every signature. And Ramon? His operation isn't exactly legal. Once the investigation starts... Jesus. Ruby closed her eyes. Francisco has no idea what's coming. He never thought I'd fight back. None of them did. She gathered her purse, standing. Do you want to know the real reason I'm helping you? Why? Because 20 years ago, I watched my sister become someone I didn't recognize, someone who'd hurt her own daughter to protect her son. Maybe this will wake her up. As she left, my phone chimed one final time. A text from Dad. Whatever you're doing, stop it now. This isn't you. I stared at those words, thinking about Ruby's story, about Dad's fear of struggle, about Mom's endless excuses for Tristan. You're right, I whispered to the phone. This isn't me. This is who you created. Outside, the storm finally broke. Rain pounded against the windows, washing everything clean. The IRS office was colder than I remembered. Agent Phillips hadn't smiled once during our meeting, but her eyes sparked with interest as she reviewed the documents. These gift declarations, she said, tapping her pen against the folder. Your parents filed them separately to avoid the reporting threshold. Classic structuring. Fiona, sitting beside me, nodded. And the transfers to Ramon? Mischaracterized as gifts to avoid scrutiny. We're particularly interested in the offshore account. My phone vibrated, Layla again. Your brother's getting worse. He tried to access your computer today. Security removed him. Ms. Yara. Agent Phillips continued, we'd like your permission to expand our investigation. These patterns suggest a longer history of financial misconduct. How far back? At least 5 years, possibly more. I thought about all those years of emergency requests, of guilt trip loans, of watching Tristan get bailed out while I paid the price. Do it, I said. My phone lit up with a text from Mom. The mortgage company called. They're reviewing our loan. Please stop this madness. Agent Phillips noticed the message. Are they attempting to contact you directly? Constantly. She made a note. All communication should go through legal channels now. We've flagged multiple violations, including tax evasion and fraudulent gift reporting. Fiona's phone buzzed. She read the message and touched my arm. The bank just called. They found something else. 20 minutes later, we sat in Sandra's office at the bank. She looked grim as she pulled up a document on her screen. This credit card application was submitted 2 years ago, she said. In your name. I felt the room tilt. I never applied for a credit card through this bank. We know. She turned the screen toward me. Because this signature doesn't match your others. It's another forgery. Fiona leaned forward. How much? The credit limit was $20,000. It's currently maxed out. My hands started shaking. Who made the charges? Sandra pulled up the transaction history. Most were cash advances, withdrawn by someone using your PIN. A PIN I never created. Exactly. She pressed a button on her phone. Security, please send up the video footage we discussed. Minutes later, we watched grainy ATM footage of Tristan withdrawing cash using my card, multiple times, different dates. The credit officer said, "We'd like to verify this signature. It lists you as a co-signer in 2021. I felt the room tilt. Identity theft, Fiona said quietly. Clear as day. My phone rang. Aunt Ruby. I answered on speaker. Yara, you need to know something, she said quickly. Tristan's at your parents' house. He's talking about leaving the country. Something about Ramon coming after him. Fiona straightened. When? Tonight, maybe tomorrow. Francisco's trying to talk him down. After the call, Sandra looked at me. Do you want to press charges? For the identity theft? For all of it. The forgeries, the unauthorized transfers, the credit card fraud. We have enough evidence now. My phone buzzed with a new text from Ramon himself. Your brother owes me more than money now. Better hope he runs fast. I showed it to Fiona. That's witness intimidation, she said. Add it to the file. Sandra was still waiting for my answer about pressing charges. I thought about Tristan planning to run, about Dad trying to protect him one last time, about Mom's tears and guilt trips. Do it, I said. All of it. It'll mean criminal charges, Sandra warned. Your parents could face serious consequences. They already do, I replied. They just don't know it yet. Back in Fiona's office, Layla called with an update. Security found something on your brother's phone when they took it. He was trying to access your work accounts. Why? Looking for money, probably. He seemed desperate. Another text came through, from Mom. We were just trying to make it fair. You always had everything together. Fiona read it over my shoulder and snorted. Everything together? Is that what they call working yourself to exhaustion while they robbed you blind? They never saw it that way, I said. They saw an ATM with a pulse. Well, this ATM just shut down their whole operation. She started gathering the documents. I'm submitting everything to the DA tomorrow morning. Are you ready? I looked at the stack of evidence. Years of theft and lies, all carefully documented. The forged signatures, the fake credit cards, the offshore accounts, all of it leading back to the people who were supposed to protect me. They raised me to be responsible, I said. Time they learned what that really means. My phone lit up one last time. Dad, whatever happens next is on you. For once, I replied, You're right. It is. Then I turned off my phone and watched the sun set through Fiona's office window, knowing that tomorrow everything would change. And I was finally ready. The moving truck arrived at my parents' house on a Wednesday morning. I watched from my car across the street as they loaded furniture I recognized from childhood. Mom's antique dining table, Dad's leather armchair, the cabinet that held all our family photos. My phone buzzed. Fiona. It's done. DA filed charges this morning. Identity theft, tax evasion, fraud. Want company? No, I texted back. I need to see this alone. The bank had frozen their accounts 3 days ago. The IRS placed liens on their property yesterday. The mortgage company called in their loan after discovering the illegal collateral agreement with Ramon. It all happened faster than anyone expected. Aunt Ruby approached my car, tapping on the window. I rolled it down. Tristan's gone, she said without preamble. Left last night. No one knows where. And Ramon? Looking for him? Your parents are. She glanced at the house. Well, you can see. Mom appeared on the front porch, looking small and lost. She spotted my car and froze. Even from here, I could see her hands shaking as she pulled out her phone. My phone lit up with her message. Are you happy now? Ruby read it and sighed. She still doesn't get it, does she? Neither does Dad. As if summoned, he emerged from the house carrying boxes to his car. He looked older, defeated. The man who'd always seemed larger than life now appeared small against the backdrop of his crumbling world. My phone rang, an unknown number. I answered cautiously. Sis? Tristan's voice was barely recognizable. I messed up, really messed up this time. Where are you? Can't say. Ramon's people are. I need help, money, anything. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. You're still asking me for money? Please, I'm scared. So was I, every time you stole from me. Every time they chose you over me. Every time they made me feel guilty for wanting to keep what was mine. Silence. Then, they were right about you. You're cold. No, Tristan, I'm just finally warm enough to fight back. I hung up as another moving truck pulled up to the house. This one was from an auction company, here for the furniture that would be sold to pay their debts. Ruby touched my arm. Francisco wants to talk to you. About what? He says he can explain everything. I've had enough explanations. Mom was crying on the porch now, watching her life being packed away. Dad stood beside her, arm around her shoulders, looking lost in a way I'd never seen before. My phone buzzed with a text from Fiona. Ramon's been arrested. Tax evasion, illegal gambling, loan sharking. Your evidence helped build the case. I showed Ruby the message. Good, she said firmly. That man destroyed too many lives. Another text came through from Dad. I know you're out there. At least face us. Ruby squeezed my hand. You don't owe them that. I know. I opened my car door. But I owe it to myself. Walking across the street felt like crossing an ocean. Mom saw me first, her face crumpling. Why? She whispered. We're your family. No, I said quietly. I was your ATM. Tristan was your family. Dad stepped forward. Everything we did was theft. I cut him off. Fraud, crime, not love, not family. We were protecting your brother while destroying me. I met his eyes. Did you ever think about that? Mom reached for me. I stepped back. Please, she begged. We can fix this. No, we can't, because this isn't revenge. I looked at the moving trucks, the boxes, the dismantled life they'd built on stolen money. This is rebalancing. Dad's face hardened. You've ruined us. You ruined yourselves. I just provided the evidence. My phone buzzed. Fiona again. Police want to interview your parents today. I showed them the message. Mom started crying harder. Dad's face went pale. This isn't who we raised you to be, he said. You're wrong. I turned to leave. This is exactly who you raised me to be. Thorough, methodical, responsible. I learned from the best. Ruby followed me back to my car. What now? I watched as the auction truck drove away with the last of their furniture. Now they face consequences, maybe for the first time in their lives. And Tristan? He'll surface when he runs out of options. He always does. Mom called out from the porch one last time. Yara, please. But I was already driving away, watching in my rearview mirror as their house, the house they'd mortgaged with stolen money, grew smaller and smaller. On the porch, watching a moving truck carry out their furniture, I murmured, this wasn't revenge, it was rebalancing. And finally, after all these years, the scales were even. To karma, Fiona raised her glass, and the people who help it arrive on schedule. We sat in my new condo's kitchen, unpacking boxes while sharing wine. The closing papers still sat on the counter, ink barely dry. I can't believe you used the recovered money as a down payment, Layla said, arranging dishes in my cabinets. That's some poetic justice. My phone buzzed. Aunt Ruby. Tristan surfaced in Mexico, wants to make a deal with the DA. Speaking of justice, I showed them the message. Fiona smirked. Let me guess, he'll testify against your parents in exchange for immunity? Probably. Some things never change. Some things do. Layla pointed to the window. Like your view, much better than that cramped apartment. A text from Mom appeared. Are you proud now? I deleted it without responding. She'd sent the same message every week since their arraignment. Dad hadn't contacted me since posting bail. Have you read the plea deal terms? Fiona asked, pulling out more wine. No need. Ruby keeps me updated. Dad's facing tax evasion charges. Mom's claiming ignorance, but the forged signatures are hard to explain away. And Ramon? Singing like a bird to federal investigators. Turns out he had dirt on half the city. Layla opened another box, pulling out photo frames. She paused at one, me and Tristan at his graduation. Want me to trash this? No. I took the photo. Keep it as a reminder. Of what? How they hurt you? Of why I fought back. My phone lit up, an email from the DA's office. The subject line read, Final settlement terms. Fiona read it over my shoulder. They're offering your parents a deal, reduced charges in exchange for full restitution. Will they take it? They'd be idiots not to. Otherwise, they're looking at serious time. Another text arrived. From Dad this time. The DA called. We need to talk. Don't, Fiona warned. I wasn't planning to. Layla finished with the photos and started on my books. You know what's crazy? After everything they did, they still think you're the bad guy. Because I stopped being their ATM? Because you showed them consequences exist. My doorbell rang. Ruby stood outside, holding a box. Found these while helping them pack, she said, setting it down. Thought you might want them. Inside were old report cards, academic awards, newspaper clippings about my coding competitions, things I thought they'd thrown away. They kept them? I whispered, in Francisco's office, hidden behind Tristan's sports trophies. My phone buzzed again. The DA. Your brother's testimony has been recorded. Trial dates will be set next week. Ruby read the message. Are you ready for that? Seeing them in court? I already saw them lose everything else. What's one more day? Fiona poured Ruby a glass of wine. To new beginnings? To consequences, I corrected. My phone lit up one last time. An unknown number. The message made my blood freeze. It cost me everything, but I'm safe now. Thanks for teaching me about consequences. Tristan? Layla asked. I nodded. Sounds like he finally learned something. Did you? Ruby asked quietly. Learn something? I looked around my new kitchen, at the friends who'd supported me, the aunt who'd chosen truth over loyalty, the life I was building from the ashes of what they'd stolen. I learned that karma needs a little help showing up on time. Fiona raised her glass again. To karma's little helpers? We clinked glasses as the sunset painted my new walls gold. Tomorrow would bring more challenges. Court dates, testimonies, the weight of facing family in handcuffs. But tonight, you know what the best revenge is? I said, unpacking another box. This, living well, building something they can't touch. Speaking of building, Layla pulled out her phone. Your story's gone viral on that legal advice forum. People are calling you their hero. I'm not a hero. I'm just someone who finally said enough. Ruby hugged me suddenly. You're stronger than all of them combined. My phone buzzed one final time. A message from the bank. Restitution payment received. Account restored. It wasn't about the money anymore. It never really was. It was about worth, about boundaries, about learning that family isn't an excuse for abuse. It cost me $50,000 in a family, I said, raising my glass. But it bought me one hell of a lesson. I don't owe anyone for being born. The others raised their glasses too, and in that moment, surrounded by boxes and hope and hard-won freedom, I finally felt rich in all the ways that mattered, not because of what I'd gained, but because of what I'd refused to lose, my dignity, my future, and most importantly, myself.